Cadmium.
Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Saturday the 28th of June 2014. I'm your host Dan Train. Joining me today, feeling very lucky, Robert Kemp.
Charmed.
And hasn't won anything today as far as I'm aware, Zachary Burgess.
Hang on, let me just think about that. No. I was just making sure I hadn't mysteriously, had something had happened, but nothing that I could consider it as a win has happened today.
What, not like a win on an FTL run, or
No.
a game of Civ, or even a TF round?
No. Well,
No.
technically TF rounds today at 2 or 3 a.m, sure.
All right then, you've won today!
You've won today!
Zach is also a winner.
But not in the same sense as Rob.
No.
I want a spinning fork.
Seriously, is it motorised?
I guess,
presumably.
yeah. Either that spring-loaded, you have to wind it up before you eat your pot
Just
noodle.
wedge it there and go, that probably wouldn't work very well.
You'd have to have a damper on it if it was spring-powered or something, so that it went slowly. How could you achieve that, do you think?
I don't know. Maybe that's an add-on. Pot noodle dampener.
Well, without the damper, you can get it without the dampener when you win it, and it just spins
Yeah.
crazily.
So that's a level 2 prize from pot noodle.
Surely
you have to send away for that.
Surely the advanced version would be to have the motor have speed controls, so you can increment the speed up and down depending on presumably how liquidy the thing you're eating is. Because if it's spinning fast, it flings all the liquid out.
That is the problem with pot noodles, is they can be quite damp.
But generally, by the time you're getting to the dampest part, you're already quite a way into the pot. They're normally slightly less damp at the top.
Potentially. Or maybe you just have to...
Depends how much water you put in also.
Yeah.
You can actually modify the dampness of a pot noodle
Exactly.
yourself.
Perhaps you need to slightly under-damp it. And then... and then this becomes a useful proposition.
Do you think we have any listeners who don't know what a pot noodle is? Americans?
I don't know.
Well,
yeah, what's the American equivalent? I don't really know.
We've just introduced a bunch of people to pot noodles. This is our advertising segment, obviously.
How do you describe? Are they technically? Is it freeze dried?
Yeah, probably.
Freeze dried noodles.
Freeze-dried noodles.
And peas and sweet corn.
Yeah, definitely other crap.
And then it's in a plastic
flavoring.
pot.
Yeah.
And then I don't think I've ever eaten one. In fact, that's one of the things I used to say when I played, stupid drinking games at university.
How did you get through university without eating a single pot noodle at some point?
What's the...
Super noodles, that's how you do it.
Even I managed to eat a pot noodle and I was in a catered accommodation.
That's it. I have never have I ever eaten a pot noodle. That was one of my... And then everyone else would drink and I just look smug. That was a good one.
But of course, the classic trick of that game, though, is to make sure that you're always asking questions that make you drink.
Yeah, that's true.
It depends if you want the drink or not, obviously.
Well, it depends who bought the alcohol.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I used to have a friend who was very keen on that game, but she would always say, no sexual stuff.
That's
which
kind
is
of
really
the
fun.
That's really what the whole game is.
It always
I was about to
that.
say, it's what is this pot noodle question about? That's not how your game works.
How that game works. Well,
unless there's an Urban Dictionary reference for a pot noodle.
I've never eaten a pot noodle. Gross. Don't even want to figure out what that means.
Ew. Well,
with my spinning fork.
Yeah, with the spinning fork, yeah. With its variable speed power.
Variable speed fork. Spinner.
And its damper.
I wonder if anyone else has tried to sell or market a spinning fork for any other promotional reasons. So presumably if pot noodle are picking it up.
What, for not eating? I've got the spinning fork for
No, but I meant some other brand. I'm
pretty sure
pot
they
noodle
probably
must have someone like Dolmio or someone ever gone, here's have a pasta spoon.
Yeah, probably.
Fork.
Pasta spoon would probably not work very well. No. Specifically a spinning one.
Because pot noodles are a super weird brand because their noodles are an Oriental, obviously an Eastern thing, but pot noodle has nothing to do with any kind of
culture.
And it's you'd think the perfect tool to eat a pot noodle is probably chopsticks and not a fork, and yet,
But who has chopsticks?
well, that's the
Everyone has a
question,
fork.
isn't it?
Then again, I'm not convinced chopsticks are the best implement for eating noodles.
No.
Like, chopsticks, I'm not sure are the best implement for eating many things.
Well, chopsticks
I
are
don't
not
know.
the best implement for eating shitty noodles.
They're kind of cool to eat with, and there's a novelty to them if you're Western and don't use them all the time.
Yeah, I guess.
But I'm pretty sure a fork is more useful in almost every circumstance. Almost.
I don't know about that. I think I would dispute that. I guess it depends.
I'm just trying to invent a new utensil that's specifically better for eating noodles.
If it's like those really thin bits of like crispy shredded beef or crispy shredded chicken, then maybe like chopsticks are better because you have to sort of actually pick those up because you might have difficulty getting your fork to skewer them.
I think surely the best noodle eating implement would be like it's basically a T shape. Like instead of the spiky bits of a fork, it just ends at a T shape. So you put it in sideways, rotate it 90 degrees, and then the T shape slots into the noodles, and then it lifts them out, and they hang over the T shaped bit.
I see.
That's my new utensil that I've just come up with.
Wait, so
How do you put the tea into your mouth without, like, when you draw it
It's
out
not
of your mouth?
much wider than a fork.
Could you like, or just put it vertically, so like almost punching yourself in the face with the handle to like hum?
No, you'd put it in like a fork. The T shape would be flat onto your face.
Or couldn't the T bit be
But when you pull
Yeah,
it
good
out,
point.
when
Yeah,
you
good
closed your
point.
mouth and pulled it out, like,
It's
to get...
flat like a fork, so it still fits out your mouth sideways when you pull it back out.
Yeah,
You don't
but
rotate
that-
it while you're inside your mouth.
Oh yeah, but the T bits would like go. No.
It's not that wide.
Okay.
It's only like slightly wider than a fork, maybe.
Right. But you're closing your mouth when you put stuff in your mouth, so you'll be going as you put the thing
Yeah,
in.
and then it slides out because it's flat like a fork.
Put it be in your mouth, so it might pull on your now pursed edge lip
Yeah.
corner
It's
thing.
curled
surely.
upwards at the edges slightly. I mean, come on.
Would a
It's
better
curled.
solution not be like a fork that you can you put in and then you push a button and it just sort of angles itself, like so it can like
Or like a
it's
tiny,
like a shovel,
like a tiny excavator bucket that you put in there and it just grabs them.
Yeah, so you put your fork in and then the end bends so you can then create a little shelf.
I'm not sure
And
if
then-
little shelf
and then
would be
you put
that
it in
good
your-
for a noodle.
and then you
so
put
it'd
it-
slide off too easy.
And then you put it in your mouth, and then as you pull it out, you can sort of go, if you go just with your pursed lips, sort of pull it out, and of course that's the reset. It goes, ding, puts it back. No?
No.
Alright then.
This is too complicated. We need a simple shape.
That's
that
why my
improves
T
on the-
shape is clearly the best.
I
I'm
still
not
don't...
going to have to.
I can't picture your T at all. I don't get it. Well, it's a T, and then the handle comes off the bottom of the cap. It's a capital T, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the handle comes off the bottom of the thin bit.
the bottom, yeah.
Yeah. So you've just got a bar that goes across. I still don't understand your
Would
like
it be
pulling it out of the mouth
forked
thing.
on the end of each part of the T?
Well, the ends would probably have to have like a slight curl.
Is this a
to them
serif
lip
or a
something.
sans serif font here? on
It
this
might have to be a
T?
serif.
Okay, it's a
Basically what
serif.
we're saying.
Okay. Jesus. Oh. But then that really would hook into your mouth if you had the serif, the traditional serif.
Well, you'd have to
Like-
have it like. I'm trying to figure out which way round it would work best because I guess both sides of the serifs would have to be like a curved mound rather than a point. Because then
Yeah.
the mound bit helps hold the noodles on there when you're lifting it, and also reduces the impalement possibility inside your mouth.
Oh, man.
It's not like forks are actually that not pointy.
No, they are, but the points are when you withdraw a
The
fork from
points
the
are
mouth.
directly going into your mouth.
Yeah, but they're
Yeah,
going into the hole, not the lip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When you
okay.
withdraw, they're exactly pointed away from anything that's going to hurt, right? The points. When you withdraw the spoon, when the fork.
The point is,
I still don't think it's
I want a
point
spinning
is-
fork.
They're called chines, aren't they, or something stupid like that? Are they?
Chines? What,
Yeah,
spinning
chines.
forks?
No, the pointy bits of forks.
Oh.
They have
Oh.
a name.
Oh, I don't know.
That sounds vaguely like something I remember.
Or they were just like points or spikes or something.
Spikes.
Fork
Let's
spikes.
see.
Fork spikes. No, let's not see. Let's just move on from this fork-based topic.
Very, very important. Okay, fair enough. But China's the Spider-Man animal. But what does it do with? What's it got to do with forks? Probably nothing. I probably made that up.
It's probably a word that's quite similar.
God damn it.
Problem is, I'm going to remember it now and quote it as fact if you know. I'm sure.
Great.
Let's start it. There's a thing. The points of a fork are called chines. True or false? It's a quiz question.
Tines. Damn it. They're called tines, not chines. Chines are on an animal, and they are spiky, and tines are on a fork. But you can also call them prongs.
Prongs. Prongs, a good one. I forgot about prongs.
There you go.
They do a good sweet chicken at prongs.
I want to see Zach eat a pot noodle with a T-shaped implement.
Yeah, we've got to try this.
Yeah, I know.
We've got to create one.
Yeah, it can't be that hard to make one, right?
Well, I don't know. It's like you've got to find a bit of. I guess you could maybe
you could 3D print one.
Maybe you could make half a one because making half one would be much easier, like an L shape. Because then you don't have to have one bit of metal and just bend it in an L.
I guess.
Yeah, just an L.
Yeah, exactly.
Coat hanger noodles.
Would that work? Does the T have an advantage over the L?
It's because the handle is central to the weight of the noodles when they're hanging off it. It's more evenly balanced.
Genius. Okay.
The L might actually be able to pick them up easier though.
Yeah.
Because you're hooking them from one direction.
You could use them as a shovel. It's closer to my shovel fork.
Yeah, I guess so.
So, listeners, when you see Zach on Dragon's Den in a few months' time
with an L T-shaped fork,
T-shaped fork design, then you'll know where the genesis of the idea was. The kernel of truth. It was all thanks to Pot Noodle's promotional competition.
Yeah.
And our retarded discussion about forks.
And, do you reckon, or would you do it differently if you were to market like the T fork? Would you if the dragons didn't go for it, which let's face it they wouldn't.
No.
Then would you Create some kind of niche restaurant like Zachary's Tea Noodles?
Well, you'd have to try and
Zachary's Tea Noodles. Oh my god! I really want
Zachary
to eat
Tea's Noodles. Just make up a fake last name, and you'll be like Zachary Tea.
You'd have to market the implement to Chinese restaurants or whatever as an alternate to chopsticks. So it's like if you have customers who can't handle the chopsticks, give them the noodle tea.
Because they want exotic, right? They don't want to be ashamed that they can't eat with chopsticks because they haven't got the practice. But they don't want to just be forced to use a fork in an embarrassing Western style.
Yeah.
They want something exciting, something intriguing implement. Yeah.
But surely the middle point between a fork and chopsticks are chopsticks that sort of hold themselves together. Maybe
so they already have those, basically, don't they?
Yeah,
you get a spring angle.
Yeah, beginner sticks. I mean, maybe. What actually is the logical halfway point between chopsticks and a fork? It's not really. Halfway.
I was going to say a fork with two of the prongs broken off. I'm not sure that's actually any use for anything.
Yeah, would it be just a single bigger chopsticks, but chopsticks?
A single bigger chopstick.
A single bigger chopstick, but the end has got multiple points on it, so it just go boink and stab things. But then I suppose
that's just a fork. That's just a fork.
Yeah, it's a mini fork. Yeah.
Chopstick with tines on it.
Tine sticks.
Tines.
That's what the T stands for.
Yeah. Yeah, tine. What would you call it though? Can't really be a noodle tea.
Noodle tea. Zachary's Tea Noodles.
Zachary's Noodle Tea Party.
You'd have to come up with a name that's like a fork, or maybe like a chopstick. A chalk.
Tea stick.
Tea stick. Yeah, it's boring.
Talk.
Yeah.
Bee?
Talk. Talk is good because it makes it sound powerful, like a car or something.
Yeah,
it's got so much talk. TORK.
Would a talk be
Turn
like,
up
I
a
don't know,
talk.
sound like a combination of a fork and some other utensil, like tongs?
Yeah,
probably.
maybe. It's good to talk as well. You've got ready-made stupid.
It's good.
You've got ready-made advertising slogans stolen
Advertising
from other companies.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
that talk, happy talk.
Talk. Yeah. You and I have got to have a talk.
It's all talk and no noodles.
Well,
See?
talk and the noodles. You don't do that's the whole point.
All talk and no sustenance.
Hang on, let me Google the word
You get the
T-O-R-K and see if it's...
Yeah, but you don't get sustenance.
It's all talk and all sustenance
All talk, all sustenance.
all the time.
Let me see. Talk. The leading brand of paper and tissue hygiene products.
Well, okay.
Soaps.
Ugh.
Okay, you could beat those.
No.
There we go.
But yeah, you just like outbrand them somehow.
Yeah. You can, as long as the brand's small enough, you can just. I'm sure Facebook probably existed before Facebook, right? Someone must have had that name. So
I don't know.
obvious.
What would it be for?
Yeah, if not the thing that they actually use it for, faces.
Man, talk is really relatively free of current usage. And it's only 3 letters. I wonder what's 4 letters. Well, I wonder what talk.com has, because every 4 letters.
How are you spelling talk with 3 letters, like TRQ?
Four
Yeah,
letters.
okay.
4 letters.
4 letters.
Yeah, I know, with 3 letters. I mean, Turk.
So talk.com redirects to
You could use-
NSI Industries, which is some boring engineering firm.
There's no
So
Greek symbol for tor.
That's Tau,
Talk.
isn't it?
Oh, tau. Balls.
Is that engineering firm secretly going to be the one to make this fork? It's a replacement. That's why they saved that address.
Do you
So,
think?
like, we're going to get into metalwork.
Well, it seems like they do. It seems like they do metalwork. Yeah.
Oh shit!
So I think they're ready to build talks. They seem to mostly make clamps and things. Let's see what else. Connectors. Mechanical connectors.
Because the things
Terminal
that you
lugs.
use, the things that you use in like chemistry and stuff are called torques, aren't they?
What?
Torques, like the stands that you use to stand various glassware
What
on.
with the little rubber hand things?
I don't know
What,
what part of it specifically is called the torque,
Well, just the pole, probably.
and I also don't know exactly what spelling of torque that is.
Hmm.
I think it's probably
It must
like
be
the
different.
engine torque style of spelling.
Mm.
That might be why they've got that address, because they're like, people aren't going to spell this right, but we sell torques.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Do they sell torques? Does it say on that page?
What do NSI Industries sell talks? It doesn't say so. Now I've looked up TORK on Wikipedia and there's not much available. What about Wiktionary? Nope.
Chopsticks.
Nope.
Chopsticks. It's not sticks though. You can't have in plural.
Torque beam of the oil.
No, wait. A
press.
torque isn't. Torque might not be the stands. Is it?
What's another word for
Who knows?
noodle? Is there any other word for noodle?
Is torque like? Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, I think we have a name. That's good enough. It's not too overrided.
Pasta spaghetti.
Yeah, but it's for noodles.
That's pretty good.
The spaghetti.
It's in the spaghetti. Oh, that's far too good. Okay. Right.
Trademark that. Get that domain.
That's already got to
The
exist. Surely.
spaghetti.
It's probably like some measuring device for like spaghetti
probably,
portions
yeah.
or something.
But why would it be a T?
I don't know. It depends how they've designed it.
How do you even spell spaghetti?
Well, like spaghetti, only just with one big T.
Spaghetti. It's spaghetti.
I know Urban Dictionary has a definition of spaghetti. That's really terrible.
Oh dear.
The act of spooking someone by jumping out of them and yelling the phrase "spaghetti."
Okay, good.
Oh, it looks like it's from Tim and Eric's Awesome Show. Great job. If you've never seen that, I'll have to check that out.
Spaghetti.
I don't know if that's spaghetti or just spaghetti. It looks like just spaghetti.
Yeah, and they spell it with
Right.
2 T's as well. Perhaps you'd probably need a hyphen in there, like the spaghetti.
Yeah, probably.
Bag of tea. Little Sparty.
That's not going to help you when you're trying to Google it with
There's a spaghetti.
a... Great.
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti time!
Spaghetti. Stop. Spaghetti.
Okay, good. We maybe
Right,
move on.
it's time to deploy my catchphrase. Right,
Yes.
it seems to. I've said it so many times. This is a podcast about video games.
What?
Although, also actually news.
Yeah, it's time for news. News.
Which is also about video games.
Maybe.
Any news, guys, about video games?
It's been 4 weeks, so theoretically
What
we should have been
one?
some.
Well, it's been 2
Well, we had all of
weeks since
E3, right?
Yeah, but we,
Yeah.
well, I
E3
guess
was
there's
the
only
news time.
any other news that we didn't get on the E3,
There's no such thing.
or the week before E3, I guess, that we technically didn't do a podcast for. In terms
Well, all the news
Yeah, I
then was
can't
about
remember that far
leaks,
Yeah,
leaks
I guess
like
so.
Battlefield Hardline leaks and shit.
Calm down. Lead us off.
lead us off with probably the only bit of news.
Why?
what?
Have you got something in mind?
What's your one bit? Oh, okay.
That's what I was saying. Dan's got the one bit, apparently.
I don't know. There's a few bits.
Is there?
I think maybe like sort of non-interesting-y stuff. I suppose you could say that like Shovel Knight came out and everyone thinks it's amazing.
That's
Right.
not news. It's a
It's
game release.
news. It came out and people think it's good.
If we play it, then we'll be talking about
Yeah.
it. We don't need to talk about every game that came out and people supposedly say it's good.
And that Valiant Hearts game is apparently really good. In a sort of not game sort of way. A good non-game. But anyway, yeah, Oculus bought Carbon. I suppose that's news.
Right, and I didn't know who the hell Carbon was.
No,
And I still don't really know. They designed the 360 controller? I thought Microsoft
apparently,
did that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one of Microsoft's greatest successes, and it wasn't even them.
No, apparently they're also responsible for inventing that mechanical D-pad switcheroo thing.
Oh, that thing.
Like the later 360 controller.
That thing wasn't that great. It promised a lot, but I mean, it's better to have the Nintendo patent expired
The cross. Yeah.
cross, which you get on the One controller.
Yeah, which is pretty good.
I still don't know what the best D-pad. I still think like old D-pads were still better and stuff.
Yeah,
on the
weirdly. I don't
NES
quite
or
know
whatever.
why. Or maybe we just didn't know what we were missing.
Yeah, maybe.
But we didn't really use the old Nintendo D-pads for most of the time. I
That's
mean,
true.
you did a little bit.
Yeah, I had exposure to NES at the time.
What's the best D-pad then?
Fat DS.
Yeah, Fat DS ones, well, it's weirdly flat, but somehow kind of comfortable.
It's because it's like it's actually clicky like a button,
Mm.
which makes it work as a good D-pad. There's no travel on it at all.
I mean, the one the GBA wasn't too bad, but then the GBA's
Well,
form
the
factor
GBA
was a bit weird
soft.
anyway. The Game Boy Originals is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes. The colour
The,
one was pretty good as well. Not as good as the DS.
If
Game
it wasn't
Boy
in
Color.
such a bad place, the little one on the GameCube controller doesn't feel too bad.
Yeah, that doesn't really work because it is in a
It's
bad
too
place.
small.
And
Yeah.
it's not on a flat surface. It's on a kind of bowl
No,
thing.
it's,
It's a bit
as
weird.
I say, if it wasn't in that position,
It's
it
in a
would
weird
probably be a lot
indentation
better.
as well. It's in like
Yeah.
a divot.
That wasn't used for anything, as far as I know, apart from the usual D-pad. Let's use it as extra buttons to switch things.
Yeah.
I don't even remember
Like,
that.
Even Metroid didn't use that to switch guns. They used the C-stick because it was just
Yeah.
like it's on that side of the pad. I guess.
Didn't Metroid use it for visor switching though? Like, so you gun switched with C and
I
you
don't even
visor switched
remember
with.
what the visor switch was. I guess it must have been presumably over there. I actually don't remember.
No.
Oh,
I can't remember
Maybe
how they
it
did
was.
it on Metro Prime 3. Like, obviously they didn't have all those controls.
No,
Oh, but then again, they didn't have weapon switching, did they?
no, they got rid of. They got rid of the idea of different weapons because it's just like now your missiles are ice missiles.
Yeah, I guess they figured it would be too difficult to control all of that. With a Wiimote. So yeah, apparently they've been sort of working with Oculus for the last year, but now Oculus has money. They can just be like, well, we'll have you then.
Basically, it's Facebook that's bought them, not because Facebook own Oculus, right? So
yeah, I guess. But all that, I wonder. Yeah, I suppose. But I wonder if that. Yeah, it depends how Facebook are budgeting, giving money to Oculus, I guess, and whether this was Oculus's decision to acquire them or Facebook's decision. But
I'm sure it was Oculus. Yeah, they're like, we need those awesome guys.
We need to make this thing comfortable somehow.
Yeah.
I don't think that shouldn't be that much of a problem. It's like a controller is probably actually more difficult than just like a thing that fits to people's faces.
I don't know. That's
putting it on someone's face is just like a matter of.
But people's faces are more varied than people's hands.
Yeah, but you have to like basically account for the largest possibility and then just pad it to account for the smallest possibility.
Oh, maybe. But then what if that dense padding causes headaches in the bigger people? Or unless you have layers of padding you can remove.
Well, yeah, you make it like here's the extra thick padding if it doesn't fit properly. Stick it on.
But there's more like the weight stuff. If they can figure out a way of making it weighted nicely.
Yeah, but surely that's not really.
So it clamps to your head without like a bad pair of headphones clamps to your head.
Well, surely the weight issue is partially like actually what hardware they're going to use inside it, and also just a matter of like balancing it rather than. Because presumably at the moment they're just like, whatever we've got, we just shove it in there and vaguely try and make it centered.
Yeah, perhaps.
If they can spread it out more evenly, presumably it will be better.
I don't know. Maybe that'll make it.
Maybe what they'll actually do is get them to make a controller for Facebook. The Facebook Fab to go with your Facebook Oculus.
Yeah. Or maybe this is exactly it. Like, I don't know, for some reason they want an Oculus branded 360 controller to go alongside with it.
Well, it sort of makes sense because if you're going to be using an Oculus, you probably want an analog stick of some kind.
Yeah, keyboard might be tricky.
True. Yeah.
But then if you're using Facebook, you want to type, I guess. So maybe they'll end up like stealing the Valve typing wheel for them or something.
Will there be some sort of controller that is visually recognizable by a camera on the front of the Oculus so it can see where it is? So if you look down, you can see keys?
You're holding the controller, I guess.
Maybe. Like, so if you want to type, you can see where the buttons are. But then you wouldn't be able to see your fingers typing, but unless it did something else with the camera, I don't fucking know. It's like, at this point, it's just like, why wear a headset? Because I can see my fingers then.
Well, that's why you use a fucking Oculus Rift to go on Facebook, isn't the actual question again.
Well, yeah. There's probably not.
No,
I don't think. Obviously, no. Unless Facebook really want to make that Sony Home thing, PlayStation Home.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only solution, or Second Life or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe Facebook are just starting a peripheral company now. That spin-off, like, we're just going to make random peripherals with the new Mad Cats.
Yeah. Weird.
They could totally make like a Facebook-branded keyboard that just had like Facebook buttons for like quick access.
Rapid like, like all.
Yeah, just like one button that lights everything on the page. Because that's how the best way to fuck up Facebook real quick.
Mass like. What else we got?
Let's see. There must be. I saw the thing about Charlie Brooker being in Sniper Elite. That's kind of cool. He actually looks. He's like a German officer or something. Actually, does look like him. It's not bad. Yeah. So that's quite funny.
That's been known for a while that he's going to be in that.
Yeah, but there's been some actual screenshots of him in it. So
him
cool.
As a person rather than just a voice.
Oh yeah, he's a person. Yeah, he is doing the voice as well. I think. News. I don't know. Like I was saying, I watched a bunch of the actual videos from E3 that I didn't get around to the first time.
Yeah,
so
I suppose Nintendo elected to have Iwata on the board still. Or as CEO.
Yeah, well, Iwata's not been well, right? So that's news. After E3 was like, he wasn't there because he had a operation. But
I forget what on, but nothing.
I think he had a... No, not... Yeah.
that's actually the bile duct.
Okay.
whatever that. As like that's one of those classic bits of biology where it's like you never really learn what the fuck bile ducts are even. It's like it's important for digestion, but like how? Where does it connect to anything else?
Isn't it what connects the gallbladder to something?
It's just like it's somewhere in between the stomach and the intestines. It's just like a little extra bit, as far as I remember.
It might.
It's just like right after the stomach, but just before the intestines. There's like, here's where the bile goes.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with fat digestion.
Yeah, probably. Take it out.
Yeah, no pizza for you. So that happened. It was talking about Shovel Knight again. Is Shovel Knight a Wii U only release? Because I know it's come out on eShop,
maybe.
and they've
It's
been
on
sort
Steam,
of talking
isn't it?
about. Is it? Oh, okay. I haven't seen it because they were sort of talking about it in the like, oh yeah, because this is like a real homage to old NES games, but obviously the NES couldn't run this because we made it slightly better than that.
Well, obviously you want it to come out on the 3DS. Not that it has any 3D. Obviously suitable for it's the kind of game, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Although it's 16 by 9.
They've got another screen to do whatever with.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do. There's not really
presumably
anything
move
for
some
them
of
to do.
They'd presumably move some of the like readouts and stuff that might not fit in the 16 by 9 style screen when you collapse it to more square aspect ratio.
Maybe.
Well, I guess it is coming to the 3DS. And it's on PC and Mac and Linux.
Hey.
If you want to play it on those crazy platforms.
Also, it's got shovel in it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
Just a
my
cool
first
word.
thought was Shovel Ball when I saw Shovel
Shovel,
Knight.
yeah.
Yeah,
And whether or not we could ever make a game adaptation of that.
Are there balls involved? There's probably some balls involved at some point.
the shovels involved.
Yeah, but it's just like it's not.
Not that there was any shovels involved.
Yeah,
in
technically
Shovel
there
Ball.
wasn't
Yeah.
any shovels in Shovel Ball.
It was just the action of shoveling that was involved.
Barely even that.
Oh no, that well, it was a similar action. The shoveling. Otherwise, why was it called that?
Because we were dumb.
Fair enough.
Because, setting up for a smash shot, you needed to shovel the ball off the ground.
You kind of really didn't. You didn't ever need. That was the main thing about shovel was like you actually never needed to actually do the thing that the game was named after.
Yeah, shoveling made little tactical sense.
Sorry.
It'd sort of be like in football if you like chip the ball up off the ground for yourself to header it. It's like no one does that because it's bad and dumb.
Everyone could see it going. A smash is going to be slightly more effective. Well, maybe I don't know, or is it?
Probably not. Well, it maybe if you were playing like professional shovel in like a professional sized pitch instead of like our backyard.
Yeah. To clarify, I know we've talked about it before, but to newbies, like
it's a game that we made up.
Yeah, shovel ball was played with old school tennis rackets with a foam rugby ball. And it was basically like football or hockey, but with those implements.
Like hockey, basically.
Yeah. So when we're talking about smashing it, you're like literally smashing a foam rugby ball with a tennis racket.
In the classic smash shot style of, I don't know if you guys are watching Wimbledon.
I haven't. No.
No, I haven't seen it. Too much going on. World Cuppage.
Yeah. Wimbledon overlapping with World Cup. It's a bad planning, that is.
I was watching Glastonbury last night. I don't know if you saw any of that.
No.
The Arcade Fire were headlining, and they're kind of a perfect big festival band headliner, I think. Their music is ideal, pretty much, for
Funny their music was actually a little bit more arcade themed.
It's got almost no arcade theme at all, yeah. But yeah. They were really, really good, I thought. I mean, they've done it before, but I don't know. I think this was kind of they've got enough albums now to, like, you know,
do a greatest hits set.
Yeah, do a greatest hits type thing, but they're still putting out stuff that's good. You know, it's not like if when you get U2 on or whatever, and all their best albums are like from the 80s, and it's like, oh god. Yeah, so it's a kind of ideals. So that was cool.
The right time.
Oh, and Jurassic 5 were playing. That was amazing.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah, they were playing the hits. Man, that was awesome. And they looked like they were having a really good time, because I know they split up a while back, but they're back together
and then they
doing
came back.
this. Yeah, so they're obviously having fun. It was kind of cool. They had the two DJs either side, like they had a thing in the middle, and then they had the Cut Chemist and Newmark on with their own little symbols either side, and then they were Charlie Tuna and stuff were dancing around running around the front of the stage. It was pretty cool, and everyone seemed to be having a good time. So, and they did What's Golden and everything. It was cool.
Charlie Tuna.
Yeah, and it was his birthday the day before or something, so they made everyone sing "Happy Birthday" to Charlie Tuna.
Possibly the best rap voice ever.
Well, yeah, it's a good one.
Something about that crazy deep tone.
Yeah, it works. The verbal Herman Munster. Controlling the dance.
It's impossible.
Worst impression ever.
It's impossible to do an impression. It's impossible to do an impression of Charlie Tuna. His voice is just too weird.
I thought you were doing like it in a club style there.
Because he sort of just, his syllables are really quick, aren't they, as well? But then,
yeah, they are
super deep.
Any more news?
We're struggling.
Steve Sale is happening.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Oh, hold on. There was like a TF2 whole like giant 15-minute long video.
Yeah,
and
there
stuff.
was that.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it. What's it about? Is it good?
It's a TF2 movie.
Yeah.
It must be the
It's only
longest
15 minutes
movie
long.
they've done, right?
Yeah,
It's longer than any
probably.
of the introducing movies
Yeah.
or anything else they've done. It was a proper movie.
What's it about? Is it for anything? Or?
Well, it was for the last update, but it's not really. It's like the last update was barely an update, technically. It was all about mutated bread. So they introduced 4 new bread weapons that aren't actually new weapons, they're just reskins of old weapons.
Nah. Come on, man. You need to... We talked about this before, but it's like, where's the interesting content?
Well, what they did add, which actually proceeded to fuck everything up for like a week or two, was they added more taunts.
Oh, really?
So... Well, the trouble was, they added more taunts. So firstly, everyone who had the new taunts, like, for the individual character taunts, were just taunting all the fucking time.
Of course.
Which is the bad start. But then they also added more group taunts, like the high five.
Okay.
Except now it's group taunts, so you can have as many people as you want join in. And you can do it regardless of what team you're on.
Oh, wow.
So basically, like 50% of every server was not actually playing. They were just like having a conga line or doing some square dancing.
That's really quite funny.
It was funny, except like if you actually wanted to play Team Fortress.
You know what you could have done instead? Just go and play Plants vs. Zombies. Now that that's out on PC.
You're going to buy that on PC?
I don't know.
When it's in a Steam sale? Oh, of course it won't be, because it's Origin, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Origin.
Okay, fair enough.
And, there's no point in me getting that on PC if no one else is going to play it. So,
Yeah, not really. I mean, you've got a super powerful console to play it on and people to play it with, I suppose. Well, enough anyway. Does Kips play that?
Yeah, Kips plays PvZ.
I thought so, yeah.
So, yeah, it's a great game. Go check it out.
Has it got... when did it come out on PC this week?
Pretty recently, yeah.
Okay. Have there been reviews of it? Because I wonder what the PC crowd thinks of it.
It depends whether... I don't know if they would... A lot of places probably won't review it again.
Yeah, that's true.
But PC-centric places, it'd be interesting to see. Pretty well received, like review-wise. So, on its first round.
Yeah.
So it gets a very high recommendation from me. I'm still playing.
We talked about it for like every week for the last 2 months or something.
Yeah,
at least.
I'm still playing.
Doesn't have
longer than that. Yeah, since March probably.
Yeah.
But does it have mutated bread weapons? No.
It doesn't have mutated bread weapons. No, bread isn't a plant.
Well, it was a plant at some point.
Yeah, but you can't just grow bread.
Technically, you can, but not directly.
You sort of aerate. You aerate flour, really.
Where do you get flour from, Rob? Yeah, you do have to do a whole bunch of stuff, though.
Yeah, you don't just plant a bread tree and have like dangling muffins coming from it.
Muffins are bread.
Spready.
Loaves. Or baguettes. Baguette. That would be more natural.
Just stick a baguette in the ground and it will grow, right?
Yeah, cool.
Awesome. And then you just cut the top off it periodically once it's grown high enough.
I'm sure we used to really annoy my parents, like whenever we used to have like an ice lolly or something, because you'd take the stick of the ice lolly and plant it.
Okay.
So you just end up with like a little patch of sticks.
I don't know, that's kind of could be a decorative feature if you had enough of them and you'd like organise them in fancy rows or something.
Yeah, but we were like 5, so actually it just went on for a lot longer than that.
Exactly. So, if it went on for long enough, there would eventually be a ton of them.
I think they would clean up after us, so you didn't end up with. Well, I think the problem was we may have attracted a swarm of ants to where we would normally plant them.
Okay, that might be a problem.
There was the boiling. The boiling.
Yeah.
Boy.
So is that the end of the news?
Probably.
Since we pretty much almost started talking about what we've been playing anyway.
Well, PvZ doesn't count. That's a given.
Anti-Fortress.
Yeah.
There was actually something new to talk about in that.
Yeah, at least I remember that. I mean, I wanted to talk about a couple of the videos that I'd seen of since E3 that I saw at the press conferences. Well, I watched some. Was this at Sony? But I watched some footage of the Metal Gear Solid game 5.
Oh, they had the crazy trailer.
Yeah, they didn't actually show gameplay.
Right. I saw.
I'd heard that it was the same, pretty much the same as the 30-minute game that they already released, only larger.
Yeah, it seemed that way. It seemed quite similar. But it had this insane, like, I don't know if this was in the 30-minute game, but it was really, like, I found it really weird and jarring for, like, realism-wise, was that they have this thing where you can, say you kill someone or you knock someone out or whatever. If you want to get rid of the body, I guess you can drag it away or whatever, but you couldn't just attach a little balloon to it and have that Fulton air recovery system work. You know, that stupid thing, the thing that's in Batman, the Dark Knight or whatever, where the plane comes along and grabs the.
It's in the single player of Battlefield 4 as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it might.
Yeah, but
where you're in that stupid town and then you just go off the roof.
Oh yeah.
but yeah, so that's in a hooks you and brings you up or whatever. So that's kind of a cool moment or something in Battlefield, I'm sure, or whatever.
Yeah,
because it's all organised, right?
It's one of the few. It's at the end of a cutscene about talking about stuff.
Yeah.
But you'd have to be like ready, prepared, and the plane's on its way, and then you send up the little balloon, and then it catches you. But in Metal Gear Solid, it's just a way of removing things. So he was just doing it constantly. So what would happen is you'd knock out a guy, and then you'd just attach a balloon to it, and he would start floating up into the air, and you'd just hear him go, ah! As he got hooked, and then at the sound of the plane, which apparently turns up at exactly the right moment, and then like 5 minutes later, do the same thing.
It's probably drones.
Yeah.
Oh, do you think?
Yeah, of course.
I just think this And because this is this enemy base and he's creeping around, and like literally every 30 seconds this drone flies over and like picks up some guy, and he's got an infinite supply of these balloons which he's like pulling out of his ass and attaching to things, including like goats and stuff. If there's anything he wants, he'll just slap a balloon on and it'll just get pulled away. Exactly. And it's like, what the fuck is this? This is hilarious, but
it's
really
turning into Just Cause.
What they should have done is the
pretty
opposite.
bad.
If they wanted to have a less realistic but also more realistic, it's like it's less realistic because it doesn't happen like this in real life, whereas the Fulton thing is technically real. But more realistic for like how the game works. They should have made it so that it was like the opposite and had it so that you just tag things and then like a burrowing machine comes up out of the ground and grabs them and drags them away. Because then that would be significantly more stealthy.
Yeah, that would make it work a lot better, I think. I mean, and almost be more plausible. I don't know.
Simultaneously more and less realistic.
So that was stupid and hilarious. Because I thought he'd stop doing it, but he just kept doing it throughout the whole gameplay, getting rid of things by just attaching balloons to them.
Well, surely, like, if it's like a stealthy operation, people would get slightly suspicious of this drone doing laps.
Exactly.
And where are the people going?
Well, supposedly,
I don't know.
Supposedly, from what I hear, is that everything you recover using that system is basically a resource that goes back to your home base.
That's right. They go back to
so you have like base. A collection of like henchmen.
Yeah, basically, you like turn them to your side and employ them.
Yeah, that sounds like it totally works.
Well, it's fucking Metal Gear Out of Heaven shit. I'm sure they once they discover the secrets of whatever,
just nanobot someone's brain.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so they have this big base, which is like an oil rig that you can kind of build on and make bigger and stuff. And so presumably by picking up things with your hilarious Fulton drone of doom, you can gradually acquire stuff.
So I guess that's why you want to pick up as much stuff as you can.
That's why you want to pick up everything.
Oh, and he started the that's why, I guess. And he started the thing before he went into the base. He like requested equipment from Mother Base, which got delivered by plane, and it arrives in a crate. And then guess what's in the crate that he's ordered? A cardboard box. So you have to get rid of the box that contains the box. And then get the box. And then hide in the box.
But you don't want that cardboard box losing shape on impact.
Giant crate just like disappear after a while.
Yeah, I can't remember what happens to the crate. It might even disappear as it animates as you open it. I can't even remember. But you just get a cardboard box. And which just... Yep, the typical Metal Gear Solid cardboard box. But that was cool in the first game because it only appeared like once, and there just happened to be a cardboard box there, and you used it, right? It wasn't like
there was a gameplay mechanic associated with it in the section. Wolves. Yeah,
that's right. But near here, it's like you move around in the box. You can pop out the top of the box and shoot people, and you can kind of. If
it opens the other side.
Well, supposedly this new cardboard box is like you don't have it from the start. You have to research the advanced cardboard box tech. So it has all like flaps and stuff, so you can actually pop out and jump out of it and stuff.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Which is why it gets delivered from the crate.
And you could jump out sideways as well. So if you can kind of roll out sideways. So if somebody spots the cardboard box moving and gets alerted, you can dive out of it, and then they go to investigate the box, and you kill them or whatever. So
that's fabulous.
It's hilarious. I don't know. Metal Gear, so weird. It looks great, of course. It's just fucking weird.
It has always been weird, though. Everything about it is strange.
So that was that. I thought it was getting a little bit more normal with the last one, with the little half-hour thing, because it's...
If only this
the last one. I'm sorry, Ground Zeroes. When you say the last one, I immediately thought MGS4. It's like,
no, Ground Zeroes. I mean, it's a bit more kind of Western, isn't it? With like shooter controls if you want, and much more kind of Splinter Cell-y, really. But it's still got the dumb shit.
Yep.
So that was that. And then, like I said, I watched some of the.
I wonder if they'll make you listen to
stuff.
Commentaries on an iPod if you want to.
Oh, almost certainly.
That was so weird. Yeah. That was one of the weirdest things about MGS4. Is like for some reason you have an iPod, like just blatantly
literally an iPod.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Made no sense.
I watched some of the Ubisoft stuff. So I watched the Far Cry and the Assassin's Creed gameplay. It looks like they've got a stronger lineup than EA by quite a long way there.
EA will probably not be doing anything for the next few years.
Don't have a lineup.
No.
Yeah,
They'll crap out some sports games, and that's about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Unless there's more, there is more of a long-term plan for PvZ. Come on, more content.
Well, they've got Battlefield and Battle Hardline, and they Battlefront and fuck knows what else.
Still got Titanfall DLC to get through.
True.
And Titanfall, yeah. Titanfall 2 won't be for ages though.
No. 2 or 3
years or something, I expect. Yeah.
They just make it.
Although they are still adding stuff to it because the Titan burn card mode is coming very shortly. Well, not mode, but they're just adding Titan-specific burn cards. Yeah,
because there are technically Titan burn cards, just not really.
Well, I wonder if that means you have a different set of burn cards. Like you pick one set.
God, I hope not, because so only if they give you more space.
Yeah. If they give you a whole set for ground and a whole set for Titans.
But then how would you trigger them? Because do you still have to, if you pick like a Titan burn card, can you only pick one, or do you choose one of each at the start of a life? And then if you die, does it eliminate both of them, or just the on-ground ones?
Yeah, that's a good question. That would make that a bit tricky. Then again, the Titan cards as they stand is a bit of a risk.
Exactly.
Unless your Titan's already on the field somewhere.
Yeah. Unless you've just respawned.
Yeah. I haven't gone back to play that game for quite a while.
I was going to when it was free over the weekend, but I haven't.
Just to see
if the population went up.
Yeah.
Not that there's really any way to tell, I guess.
So I ended up making I think I mentioned about a month ago, maybe on the cast, that I had I had some Microsoft points that were expiring.
Yeah.
I eventually made a decision because otherwise there was use it or lose it. So the choice I came down to was to either pick up the Titanfall season pass as a way of perhaps making me play that game more, or plonk for 2 Xbox One sort of indie titles. Which there was a bit of overspill there into real money, but whatever. It's like, so I ended up going for the picking 2 games option. Because it's like, well, if I'm not playing Titanfall, having more Titanfall probably isn't going to make me play Titanfall.
That's true.
So I ended up deciding.
What did you go for?
I've got Child of Light and Super Time Force. Because I figured they might be the least likely things to become free anytime soon on on deals with gold.
Well, maybe. Yeah, they don't have that many semi-good games to get free still.
Yeah, I mean, they announced what July's is going to be. Is the follow-on from this, I suppose. And it's going to... It's a bit cheeky in a way, because technically there are still 2 free games available.
But they're the same game?
But one of them they're not changing.
No, okay.
So one of them is still going to be Max and the Curse of Brotherhood. Or Brothers, or I think it's Brotherhood. Is still going to be one of the games with gold. But the other one they're doing is a bit left field, and I didn't expect, is because Guacamelee is going to be released on Xbone.
And they're going to make it free immediately.
Yeah.
Wow, fuck them guys.
Well, presumably Microsoft are paying them money to do it. I guess that's how this works. But it's the, whatever they call it, the Super Turbo Championship Edition. Whatever that means.
Awesome. Okay. So you're definitely playing that because that's free.
I already have a copy on Steam, but it's like, I might as well play this version because I think this version is one special edition up.
Okay.
So I'll play that one, I guess. Also, I need some advice.
Yeah.
So, as I sort of told Dan earlier, like my PC sort of had a bit of a barney, so I haven't been playing a lot of PC games. The boot table or whatever you call it got corrupted, so Windows wouldn't start. But then that got me like for a few moments until I figured out that the drive wasn't fucked. I was like, oh god, no, all the Salad video assets, all the as few of them as they are.
Yeah, not actually. You don't. It's only the video files that are the actual file size.
True, but it's all the I'd have to do title cards and
Gasp.
stuff.
Type that text into an editor.
But more importantly, that's on that drive as well. My music stuff is still
right. Yeah,
like
that's actually important.
Like, yeah, my music making environment. And I was like, no, please say it's still there, and it was still there, fortunately. So I backed all that up, but obviously that now leaves me sort of, as happens periodically, paranoid about storage. So it's like I've narrowed things down to 2 possible choices.
Okay.
And with pros and cons either way, that I'm having a hard time figuring out what to do. So out the way right now is price, because both options are kind of the same. So ignore that from your factors. So option 1 is I build myself a NAS drive. And when I say build myself, I build it myself. Like I build a media server, essentially. I use a case from my old PC. I put like an i5 in it and enough memory and stuff to run it. I can run a RAID 1 hard disk array in it to get some level of storage security. Probably put Linux on it. So you get the flexibility of perhaps running it as a media transcoder using PS3 media server or Plex or something. But it will probably be a lot of work to try and set up and get running, and perhaps I'll be perhaps getting things like using it as an iTunes server might be tricky on Linux, or getting an AirPlay thing set up might be tricky.
That's true.
Or the other option is to buy one of these bespoke NAS drives, like a Synology is the one I'm looking at.
Okay.
Which would probably be much, much easier to set up. Probably much, much smaller, because the case is obviously only as big as the drives, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
It has some audio output and video output capabilities for DLNA and stuff, so I could still get some of that to work. But obviously it couldn't do video transcoding because it's not beefy enough.
No.
So I'd lose that part of it for some files, which could be a problem. But it's sort of like
you want to be doing your hard work on your fast machine, right? And then do the storage. Would you have?
Well, no, but I mean transcoding on the fly, because like some files I have don't play on PS3 or any of the things I have actually attached to my telly. So you need to run it through some kind of server like Plex or PS3 media server to.
So you could pipe it through your fast machine via.
Well, this is what you could do. Yeah, I could have the drive running, and if I wanted to watch something on the telly, fire up my normal PC and have that act as a transcoding client.
Yeah,
which is a little inconvenient, and then I don't avoid having the noise of my PC running.
Yeah, that's true.
But I haven't quite figured out which route is best. It's like I don't know if everything I want to do is going to be possible if I build, but at the same time, I don't know if I can be asked to build.
Yeah, I mean,
because it would be running in a big case, I guess, because I have a big case, and they're always easier to work with than little cases.
That's true. I mean, it might be fun to do the build, but I don't know. I think I'd lean more towards the ready-made solution, to be honest.
It's kind of what I'm thinking. It might be easier to extend that thing as well. Just put more drives in, or fix things up on it.
So so the price thing is because you have to buy a processor, right, for the one you're building.
Yeah.
Do you have
so the building they both come to about £420.
Yeah.
For the setup I'm looking at, which is at first something with 2-3 terabyte drives. In a RAID of some form, and
so what do you get in the
rest to go with it?
In the ready-made thing, it's the same storage.
Yeah, I'd put 2-3 terabyte drives in it, which would be
cool. Okay.
The Synology ones have this thing they call SHR, or Synology Hybrid RAID, which is supposedly a bit like RAID 5 or RAID 6, but makes better use of redundant space if you put drives of different sizes in. But then a lot of people have said, actually don't use RAID 5 or RAID 6 because it's risky in the sense that if one drive fails, it has to rebuild that drive. and during the rebuild, you might, if another drive's failed, then the whole array goes down. But then I'm thinking, like, if you raid one, surely it has to rebuild the other drive anyway. And if your other drive fails, then you've got to rebuild it anyway, regardless. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know.
I mean, it sounds a bit suspicious. You'd think they'd have thought of all the RAID configurations for that before someone comes along and thinks, oh, I've got something even cleverer that's my, proprietary thing.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I can tell, the SHR means that it uses, if you put drives of different sizes in, naturally a RAID array can only treat itself like each drive is the size of the smallest one.
Yeah.
By the definitions of RAID. But so I think with this... Yeah, with this SHR form, it's like you only get, like, the capacity won't increase, like, compared to RAID 5 or 6, but it can use the rest of the disk that it's not using to store just redundancy information.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean? So more drives have more capability of backing up the other drives, I guess.
Yeah, so, makes sense.
Whatever that means, yeah.
But you're only going to put 2 of the same size in anyway.
Yeah. It depends, really, because if you, like, RAID 1, the first 2, like the Synology has 4 bays.
Right.
So I put 2 in at first and then 2 in later. It's like, do I RAID 1 the first set and then RAID 1 the second set so they appear as 2 different volumes? Or if I use SHR and I just plug in more drives, then I get more capacity, but they all appear as 1 volume. But with the obvious risks of what RAID 5 and stuff does.
What do you think, Zach?
I don't know.
Insightful.
So helpful.
I don't copy shit to an external hard drive. I don't give a crap about data security, really.
Well, that's the thing. Is like there's probably it's strange because I'm not really looking at it totally from a backup perspective. Because if this was doing a backup, then yeah, surely you should put it on another drive and put that other drive in a shoebox somewhere
in a different place. But yeah.
It's just something a little bit more reliable than if one drive fails. And, my system, it would give me a way of, like, cleaning up my system, I suppose, by offloading a ton of files to it.
It's not technically really cleaning up your system. It's just like, you could maybe go and delete some stuff, potentially.
But most of it is games. Or, or, like, music or stuff for casting.
And also, you don't actually need to clean up your system.
I don't know.
You've got tons of space.
It's the boot speed that I need to...
I don't think deleting moving files would actually make it boot faster. The boot speed isn't really based on your data density.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
I mean, I've had great success with my tiny little boot drive SSD. It boots really fast.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but you can't really move a Windows install to a different drive, can you? And
no, you can't really. No, it's not much fun, I don't think.
Had I not been able to recover my Windows install, then yeah, I would have probably bought an SSD because, like, why the fuck not? If I'm going to do everything from scratch, then might as well put it on an SSD. But
you need to, like, sort out so that you can get your music making environment, etc., up and running really quickly from a new install.
Yeah, it's a pain in the arse though, because like some VSTs require installations themselves.
Right.
So I'm not really sure that you can do that. Like some VSTs just install rather than you copying a DLL to the right place.
But
presumably because most of them are licensed in some way, or
that's true.
Or most some of the ones that install anyway.
You'll need to do it at some point.
Yeah, inevitable.
Nib.
Yeah.
Anyway, what you've been playing is a question. Now that we've decided that you're getting the Synology.
Synology. There we go. Yeah. Now's my face. Who wants to go first?
You go, Rob. Unless
apparently.
Host has decided. All right. So where do we start? So. Why don't we start with something I've already mentioned? Child of Light.
Okay.
I've been playing that shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good.
Really?
Like, I'm not kidding. Actually, properly pretty damn good.
So what's the deal with it?
So it's an RPG, sort of, I guess, RPG light, really, because its mechanics aren't that in-depth compared to something like a Final Fantasy. But it's It's based off the Ubi Art framework, and you sort of you go around a world, sort of done in a painterly style, sort of very much sort of watercolor sort of look to it.
Cool.
So it's based on Ubi Art. It makes it pretty damn good looking, and animates quite well. And it's just got a lot of charm.
What's the perspective to it then? Is it like? Because I'm thinking Rayman.
It's a side scroller, yeah.
Oh, but it's like an RPG.
Yeah, RPG mechanics, but in a sort of like 2-dimensional. It starts off platformy, I suppose, the world, in that you're moving around and jumping and stuff. Okay. But very quickly that becomes superfluous because you can, like, after the first major boss fight, you fly. So you can just sort of get anywhere.
Right, cool. That's cool. You have the power to move around quickly.
So it kind of makes this, although you're side on, it sort of makes the whole world a bit more like a world map, I suppose.
So is it all one screen?
Corridors and things still.
Thing? Like,
how do you mean?
Is the whole world what you can just scroll around it? Do you like go to different areas?
You still have to traverse. So you're the size of a person. So you're still like, although you can fly, you're still moving as you would.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering if it's one giant map that you could like zoom out and see the whole thing.
Oh no, it is sort of segregated into areas.
Right. Okay.
Like you can't just. Yeah, I couldn't just zoom out and there'd be a nice smooth zoom like Google Maps or something. There's like a map screen and there are clear edges to the world in places and.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. It's still screens by that logic, I suppose. Levels. But you can move about them pretty much as you will.
And so how does battling work and stuff? Yeah,
so combat is very similar to the more recent stuff from Zeboid on the Penny Arcade series.
Oh, yeah.
From 3 and 4, I suppose, where it's kind of timeline-based. So as time moves, your characters move along this bar at the bottom of the screen, and then they enter a casting point. And it's at that point you choose what move that person does, but it doesn't work immediately. You have a red casting zone, and depending on like certain things take a different length of time and stuff, so you'll move through that casting zone faster or slower based on the style of move you've picked. And the trick is if you hit something while they're in the red zone, then you interrupt their movement and they go back on the timeline. So you can stop them from performing their attack. So you can sort of trick it, like, or get enemies stuck in an interrupt loop if your timings work out nicely. So you're just interrupting them all the time before they can do anything. And sort of part of the tactics of the game is trying to work out whether it's best to focus your attacks all on one person, or if something is about to have a particularly damaging attack, whether you go out of your routine to interrupt that person at that time, but it also applies both ways, so you can be interrupted if you mistime an attack, which actually makes defense a viable option more often than you perhaps normally do in an RPG.
Oh, right, okay.
Because defending means your next move, you go along the timeline a lot faster, but you're also immune to interruption whilst defending. So,
right. Because the interruption's the key mechanic, right? So I guess
pretty much. So that's basically the core of the combat, and the rest of it sort of plays out. Sort of, the moves you're picking are sort of traditional, I guess, in the sense that there's elemental stuff, there's physical stuff. You haven't really come across many status effects, but there are a few, such as paralysis is the obvious one, and I believe there's poison.
Yeah. Poison.
But there's also during a fight, you also have control while using a right stick of a firefly that you fly around the battle screen, and if your firefly is over an enemy, say, you can hold down left trigger to start burning through this sort of firefly bar, but you blind the enemy, and during that process, while they're sort of going with this firefly light, they start moving slower along the timeline. So you use that to your advantage to try and blind certain enemies, so you interrupt them at the right time and things, or you can use that to manipulate the timeline to your advantage.
Right. Yeah.
Which basically makes it kind of unique in that you're thinking about fights in a way that I'm not sure I've ever done before.
Okay. That does sound really cool.
The sort of active element, I guess, in the Firefly. But you could choose to also burn your Firefly power on one of your characters by moving it over to you and then holding left trigger on it, and it will give you a very slow regen.
Oh, if you're not sure what to do with it.
Yeah, but you get limited power, so most of the time it's actually quite useful just to stun at least one enemy more than regen, because the regen is very slow. But if you're in if the game is in like a pause state, the regen will work while in pause at the cost of the Firefly power. So if you want to, you can just burn all your Firefly power while no one's doing anything to get some health back. But most stages will have a couple of plants in them as well that you can just rub your Firefly over and get some of your power back for one time.
Okay.
And then that plant is
like a little battery thing.
Yeah, and then that plant has been used. So it's especially important on the boss fights where the approach you take on who to blind and when to use your Firefly power is probably much more important. It's it makes for a very interesting system. And it's I'm playing it in the expert mode, which it isn't actually that hard until you hit a boss fight, and then it's suddenly very hard.
Okay, is that the top difficulty or?
Yeah, well, it only has two. It only has casual mode and expert mode.
Oh, okay.
Which they renamed from the original names, which I think was like normal and hard or something, because they felt they didn't properly explain how the game felt in those difficulty levels. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So actually, most people should be playing it on expert who are gamers, but.
So what? How often are the bosses then?
Not that frequent. I think I've had like 2 or 3 thus far, but I'm not crazy far through the game.
And are you just dying quite a bit every time? And
boss fights take me a few attempts. Yeah. To find an appropriate tactic. I could probably like over level, but I don't know if I'm not sure the game scales other things levels to you. It's hard to tell, but
right. Is there loot and stuff? Or is it to a degree.
I don't think you don't really get like upgrades to your weapons or armor and stuff. The loot you get tends to be like one-use items, or there's this there's a sort of gem socketing system that reminds me a bit like of how it works in Torchlight or something, where you find a lot of rough gems and you can craft rough gems together to make slightly better gems, and then you socket those into either to your weapon or your armor or something else like a tertiary, and they have slightly different effects. Like, so if you put a ruby, for instance, on your sword, then you'll impart fire with every hit. Or if you put it on your armor, then it's fire protection. Or if you put it on your tertiary slot, for some reason you get more health, that kind of stuff. But there's also a color element at play here, in that you can combine colored gems together to make, so a red and a blue makes a purple, for instance, which will have different effects again. Or you can combine a red, a green, and a blue to make a white, which I haven't done yet, which I don't know what that does.
So there's some element of that's
about as far as the equipment side goes, but there is a skill tree as well.
Right.
So I think each character has like 3 branches.
So you're making choices, right?
You are making choices, but I think they're pretty subtle.
Okay.
Like, I mean, the skill trees will eventually unlock new moves, but most of the time you're just picking, do I want more strength, or do I want more dodge? Stuff like that, and you kind of just stay on a tree until you get the moves that you want. Like, counter would be useful, so I'll work towards counter. Or it'd be nicer to have a more powerful physical strike, so I want like physical I want 2-star physical, please. So you move towards that. But everything along the way is kind of like, you're just getting a tiny stat boost, because you still get stat boosts when you level. So leveling probably improves those much faster than any you get on the skill tree. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell, really. It carries a lot of charm.
Then,
well, the story starts with a sort of everything's. The thing I remember about this game is there's a weird sort of sense of style in that every bit of dialogue is in rhyme.
Okay, like rhyme.
Like everything rhymes. So the story is told to you like a poem. So it's like the intro basically goes in telling the tale that how you play as Aurora, who is a princess of some kingdom, who's cut all the poetic nonsense out of the way, whose dad dies, No, wrong way round. You die first.
Right,
you
die.
Basically. Aurora dies, and you wake up somewhere else. And then it's like, what the fuck's going on? And it's not too long before the story sort of tells you, oh, hey, this is the same place. It's just you're in a different time, and your dad may be dead. Maybe.
Okay.
Good luck figuring it out from there.
So how do you know you died and didn't just fall asleep or something or whatever?
Well, I'm not sure you do, but the tale sort of narrates it to you.
Knows. Right, okay, fair enough. Genius.
And then so far I've met like a gnome-looking wizard and a jester person to be in my party. But jester person.
So how big do your party like travel inside you or whatever? As you're flying around, you don't see them.
Right, they don't have traversal problems.
Cool. And then how big do you think? Well, you think you've got 2 in your party? Do you think that's?
There's me and these 2 other people.
Yeah.
Oh, don't forget Aurora's the playable. Yeah. So, it's interesting to know that although you have 3 in your party, only 2 of them are active during battle, but there's no penalty for swapping. So if it becomes your turn, you can choose to swap.
Right.
And you don't get penalised for doing so. No.
Okay.
So it's kind of useful if you want to have a tanking character out, like for some turns, I suppose. Someone you don't mind who gets hit. It's like, something bad's coming. Quick, swap to this guy. He can take some of the damage, and then we'll swap back to the guy I want.
So can you do it only once So can you swap your tank out and then, cast a spell?
Well, yeah. If you swap to that character, you still get that character's turn. So, say Aurora reaches her casting zone, you use her cast to swap to the gnome magician, whose name I can't remember, and then he still gets a turn. So, if you say you were using him as the tank, you could then defend for a bit. And then the next casting phase comes along, and you could just swap him back out for Aurora again after defending what you were trying to prevent.
Cool. So
it gives you. It seems like there's more tactical options than it first seems when you start figuring this stuff out.
Yeah, more complex than it at first appears.
Yeah, which is nice. It keeps you experimenting a little.
Cool. Sounds good. Child of Light.
Yeah, really enjoying it thus far. Got a good sense of style. The music fits great. So I mean, I kind of wish everything was fully voice acted because it is during the cutscenes, but when you're like talking to characters and stuff, it's all text. I think having a proper dramatic reading would have been good.
Yeah, that seems to be
sometimes
you get that more nowadays, don't you? There's less kind of full text RPGs.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes reading the rhymes doesn't flow quite so well, and I sort of want someone to have read it so I can sort of hear what the intended flow to that line would have been. But
yeah, that would be cool.
But still kind of neat. It seems like UbiArt can do no wrong right now.
Yeah, are they planning on using it for anything else?
There's been the 2 Rayman games thus far, and Valiant Hearts has also been made in UbiArt. So good thus far. I will keep playing.
Well, yeah, we'll let you know more on that one. If you want a painterly RPG, though, sounds like one to check out.
So staying with the Xbox, I started playing that after I finished. I started playing Child of Light after I basically went through all of the campaign on Halo Spartan Assault.
Oh God, that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a bit weird. I don't really know how I feel about it because on one element, it does sort of map Halo to a dual stick shooter kind of well.
Mm-hmm.
If you see what I mean, like it doesn't lose too many mechanics from Halo in the process. Like you still have grenades, you still have the shield system, you still have a pretty good selection of the weapons, and they all work kind of as you expect, except for the fact you don't have to reload them. They just run out of ammo. And so in that respect, it kind of works. But yet, I'm not really sure it's that fun.
Right. Could that being the kind of key element for gaming?
Yeah, I don't know. Something just doesn't sit right, and it's hard to really say. I mean, it obviously has the trappings that this was originally a game designed for. Like, I think it was originally designed for Windows 8 in a sort of casual mobile game style.
Yeah, like for a Surface.
Like for Surface, yeah. So it's got some of those, like, I don't know, what you'd expect from like an iPad game or something, cheapness to some things that you perhaps wouldn't expect from a full console game.
From a Halo game, for sure.
Well, yeah. Like bits of the menus and stuff, they're not really that slick, and those sort of elements, and it's just, yeah, I don't know quite. I think what it does is it makes me want to play a proper Halo game, and make me realise how much I actually quite like the Halo universe. But this is not how I want to engage with the Halo universe.
It's like maybe if it was... I mean, does it fit in with this lore?
Well, they go off on a tangent somewhat, and I think it's right. The game is sort of. The game justifies itself as being a game, but it's being played by people to try and learn the history of certain battles in the battle of Spartans versus Covenant, I guess.
Right.
It's like it's being used as a training aid. And the game even acknowledges that it's a game. It's like, you may have fun playing this or something. As the AI tells you.
It's ironic. It's sort of.
Yeah,
you may have fun. Yeah.
You may have fun. So yeah, that's where it tries to justify itself. It's not really crossing over, I guess, with any storylines that are important to the series. Other than the fact that at one point there's
different Spartans, or
you're two. I think you play. I can't remember the names. One of them is Palmer. I think one of them might be Davis, something like that. And yeah, I suppose there is one point of storyline towards the end that kind of echoes some of the events of Halo 4, or like not really echoes, but does some of the, I don't know, the composing thing. I think something composes Davis at some point, or tries to.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, I guess. But
I don't think that has any meaning. I mean,
no.
Doesn't for me anyway, and I haven't played Halo 4, so maybe if I started playing it, I'd understand what composing was.
Essentially, Forerunner tech kind of has the ability to sort of break stuff down and potentially rebuild it.
Right,
in some form, but it's not really clear how any of that shit works. I don't think it's ever really explained in Halo 4.
And they probably don't plan to explain it.
Maybe
they will
anyway.
in Halo 6 or something.
So yeah. That was that. So I tried playing the co-op mode, but there's no split screen co-op, so you have to play it over live.
That's kind of a shame. That would work, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it probably would have been better suited to have something like that. But you can't, and it's or even some kind of like single screen co-op where you're like both on the same. Yeah, or you're both sort of limited to being near each other.
Yeah, that would be cool. Anyway, well, I say that'd be cool if the game.
It might be interesting because the co-op levels are different. They're like flood based rather than Covenant based. There's some sort of infection mechanic. But as I say, I've not been able to actually play a game over live. Like whenever it tries to do matchmaking, it just doesn't find anyone. Either because no one's playing it or because it doesn't work. I don't know. So that was that. Don't really recommend, but you might as well play it because it's free, I guess, if you catch it in the next day. Before that swaps out for Guacamelee.
It's free for the next day, by which point this podcast won't be up anyway.
No, well, if I post it tomorrow and someone listens to it tomorrow... then they'll be all right. Because when it's July, they will not be all right.
Chances are they won't want to play it. So
yeah, you're not missing much anyway. So there was that. I finished New Super Mario U, and that was
so
Mario.
How long was that then?
It was pretty long in the end. Yeah.
Game.
Oh, it was. It's like. I'm trying to think, sort of 7.5 worlds, I guess. you would describe it? So like 7 full worlds of levels, and then the last one is just like 5 extra levels. I think little shorter ones.
Mm-hmm.
Do the boss, and it's like that game manages to somehow keep up each level being unique all the way through, like not really reusing ideas, and that's quite a feat. And I don't know if that's true across all of the new Super Mario Bros. Games, like whether or not they've reused ideas from the previous ones. But if you took the game on its own, it does a pretty good job of making each level based on a different concept.
Cool.
Which is, I don't know, it's pretty impressive.
I mean, that's what they need to do that, really, didn't they? Given it's the same kind of game that they've done before. Like, if they didn't have that level of innovation in the actual levels, or I say innovation, but a variety in the levels. Then,
this is the weird thing. Yeah, you can't necessarily call it an innovative game because all it's doing is being a homage to Super Mario 3 in probably just the right way. But it's. And obviously, I guess I never played any of the other new Super Mario Bros. Games up till this point, so I don't know if any of this has been homaged before. But taking it on its own, like if you haven't played any of the new Super Mario Bros. Games and are itching for a new Super Mario 3, then this is a bloody good choice. It is really good, and it's like I like when you finish the game, it makes it sort of slightly aware of like that there's hidden levels about, and I'd found a few, but there are some that I haven't found or don't know how to get to, and I haven't done the star coin stuff because some of them are really probably hard.
Right.
But all in all, it's a very charming, pretty great game. It's like I'm not sure I can justify it. It's one of those things where I don't feel like I can justify it at the price Ninty sell it at, though. Because you are just essentially paying for something that they've done 3 or 4 times before.
Yeah, I mean, but you can't. That's the same with all Nintendo. Well, not all Nintendo games are doing something they've done before, but they're all sold for that price or whatever, don't they? Like, they don't come down often, especially these ones because they are popular. So I don't know. There's nothing you can do about the price.
I guess I'd recommend it if you haven't played any of the previous ones, but you probably won't want it if you have played any of the previous ones recently.
Unless you were looking for more of the same.
Well, yeah, and in which case Ninty's got you covered with New Super Luigi U.
Exactly.
Which is apparently about the same length again.
Bloody hell.
Like another 70 odd levels.
How can that keep the variety up? Surely they probably use some of the same ideas.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it is just, it's a pretty slick process. I do wish sometimes that perhaps there were ways of doing the fast restart thing that a lot of games embrace now. Like you do still occasionally have to sit through Mario's dead. Oh, now I'm back on the world bet. And now I've selected the level. And now there's the little intro card. And now I'm back at the level. Where it would be quite nice just to go, put me back. Let's go. Chop, chop. But that's always Nintendo, isn't it? Nintendo like to handhold you through everything.
Yeah.
Hey, here's this block of text you've read 1,000,000 times. Read it again. Read it.
Did you get that?
Yes. Well,
no.
Fortunately, there's not much to actually read at all in this. Like, occasionally Toad will say something, but that's about it. In text.
Well, Super Mario Brothers never needed any, help screens or anything, did it? Just go.
No.
Pretty much. I don't know. I saw a new tool-assisted speedrun of Super Mario Brothers. It's like sub 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Some super glitchy bits.
So, of course, the natural place to go next after finishing a new Super Mario game is to play a new Sonic game.
Well, not that new.
Well, of last year. So I started playing Sonic Lost World.
Right? Sonic.
It's weird.
Weird?
It's a bit weird.
Sonic games are all a bit weird these days. Well, as in
I know, but it's a little bit disappointing because I sort of thought they were starting to get things right.
Ugh, never think that.
Yeah, because Sonic Colors was a great game.
Yeah,
Sonic Generations was a fantastic game. This kind of isn't. It's like it does a terrible job of setting itself up. Like Zach watched me play with Stars. No, it's the thing. It doesn't try, and that's why I think it's got a little bit of the I want to be like Mario about it, and it doesn't try and set a premise. It doesn't try and set the world up. It's just like, oh, there's this thing.
Well, Mario
that explains that has weird effects of gravity, and for some reason the wisps are here because wisps.
Well, it was like in Mario Galaxy, they barely really explained it either. It was just like, oh, this
you're in space. That's all you needed to know.
Well, no, it's like this princess has a spaceship, and then that spaceship allows you to go to these other planetoids and then jump around them, I guess. That was like that's not really that much more explanation than what you get with Sonic, right? It's like we were flying through the clouds and we accidentally happened across this ancient lost place that is weird.
Just in the clouds, yeah. But why are the wisps there? The wisps are from a whole other fucking planet.
No, they are. Well, are they?
Yeah, Planet Wisp. That's the whole point in Colours.
I'm not sure if that's necessarily a separate planet as such.
I thought that was the whole point in Sonic Colors.
Because then how do you get to the place where Sonic Colors takes place? Is that ever actually explained?
You got that space elevator thing.
Yeah, so it's not really...
That Robotnik built.
It might not... Well, if it is a planet, it might be a really small planet. And it's just now in orbit of Mobius, or whatever the fuck they decided to call their planet nowadays.
Yeah, don't know.
Earth, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't really explain that. I mean, it's just like... They always have. Apparently,
But Colors does a better job at setting up its world, at least. It's like they just sort of say, oh, there's this stuff.
I don't know if they do, because in Colors it's like, oh, now the Robotics built a theme park.
We better go there and
stop him.
But that's more understandable than, hey, we're saving some stuff. Oh, we've just stumbled on this thing in the clouds and everything's fucked up. But they don't even say everything's fucked up. It just looks slightly like a hex grid that's broken.
They don't really explain the gravity or the hex grid.
No.
And they also don't really... In terms of things that aren't explained at all, it's just like, I guess maybe because they thought they didn't need to explain it, but it's just like, now Robotnik is putting tiny animals in robots again and we have to stop him.
They're doing the badnik.
Yeah, it's just like yeah. Why is that now back?
Yeah. So
that's a classic element of the old Sonic games, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but it's just like it's sort of the main plot point.
They haven't really gone down that route for perhaps a decade now, have they?
No.
So it's, in a way, it's kind of nice that that's back, because it's like, it's Sonic.
Sort of.
But all of this is kind of an aside, really, from the actual game. It's like, okay, the setup that all this stuff is, I guess, and story has never really been a very good Sonic thing. Some games
it was just very sudden in this case.
Yeah, it was just very like, sorry, what? Everyone just seems okay with this. All right.
Yeah, and it's not even. They don't even really try and do it ironically like they do in Colors, where it's like, well, of course we have to go and stop Robotnik.
Yeah, it's a little less self-aware.
Yeah,
which is perhaps not so great. Colors was great for that. It's like, why else would we do this? kind of thing.
Awesome.
Saying that, when there is a cutscene, I still kind of like the tone. I know it's dumb, but it's dumb in just the right way. It appeals to the inner 9-year-old.
I guess.
The inner specific 9-year-old that used to read Sonic comics and draw pictures of Sonic on all exercise books.
In old art books, yeah.
Yeah.
That very same.
That one.
It's like it's a level of humor that I sort of kind of like. I don't know why. It's really stupid. Like even just that bit where like, who are you calling fat? Are you calling me fat? And it's just the way it goes. Maybe. It's like, I don't know why I find that funny, but it's just the tone of the maybe. No, it's so dumb.
So Sonic Lost World.
Okay, actual gameplay time.
Yeah.
So I think they're trying to do a Mario in the sense that each stage so far that I've played has kind of been themed pretty differently.
Yeah.
Like they're trying very hard not to repeat themselves. So I've only played one level that is kind of like like Mario Galaxy in the sense that everything happens on these weird planetoidy things in the sky, and that's the very first level.
Technically, they all do. It's just that a lot of the time they just, for no reason, have an invisible wall at the edge.
Yeah, like the second level, for instance, is a bad example of that because it's still on a round thing, but basically just plays out in like a 2D level.
Yeah,
but it's sort of curved for some reason. Some levels are much better than others, and that's partly because some of the level design I don't think gels well with how the new control works.
Right.
The new control is strange, even for a Sonic game. It's like, so when you're moving around in 3D mode, it tries to lock you to like the 8 directions rather than being fully analog. You can sort of analog it a little bit, but you're essentially going within those. And you walk is the normal speed, and you have to hold down a trigger in order to run, which seems a bit strange. First off,
for a Sonic game,
because when would you not be running? It's like I don't really let off this button ever. So that feels weird. Like changing direction loses momentum. Like even like subtle left to right movements, you will slow down a little bit and noticeably. So sometimes that's a bit weird. If you're like, it's probably a bit more realistic, I guess, but it sometimes feels a little strange. Yeah.
I don't think realism is that important for Sonic.
No,
more about it being fun.
But I mean, everything's been slowed down a bit, so the jumping mechanics feel a little strange now because you can't do the homing attack on nothing like you used to. If you had nothing locked, you could always just jump forward a little or push yourself forward a bit by doing a homing attack onto nothing.
Yeah.
That's now gone. And in its place, you get a double jump, but the second jump takes you out of your spin, so you become vulnerable if you double jump. And that can be a pain in the arse if you do it accidentally or mistime a homing attack. But then, almost entirely pointlessly, you also get a kick function. Like, so you homing attack onto an enemy, but instead of like doing your normal bounce off them as a ball, you kick them, which apparently is more effective against armored creatures and does more damage. But it's just most of the time you just don't ever need it.
Well, I actually was trying to work out because Rob was.
I got really
confused. Know how to do the homing attack for a while because it seemed like only the kick was working.
I got really confused with the I got really confused with the controls because if you jump with the B button, which is the bottom-most, I have to make sure I get this right because of the button layout being different on a Nintendo. The B button's the one where A would normally be on an Xbox controller, so naturally I'm using that one to jump. But that doesn't do the homing attack. If you press B button twice, you just double jump. If you want to do the homing attack variant, you can use A to jump, and then if you push A, that will homing attack. But if you want to kick, then you have to use either A or B to jump, and then push X to kick. Not even X, sorry, Y to kick. And it's just like, it took me a while to figure out, and it's like, well, if I'm jumping with this button, surely that's the home attack button, right? Right? And then I go through the manual and it says like you can jump with both these buttons, but then only describes one of them as being the homing attack button. It's like, oh, that's weird.
And I was trying it on the 3DS, and on the 3DS version at least, I think the kick actually has a purpose on the 3DS version. Because
at least I'm yet to find a good use for it. Let's put it that way.
But it seems different on the 3DS version, because on the Wii U version, it seems like just another type of homing attack, basically. Whereas on the 3DS version, it's more like I guess you don't really. I don't know why they call it a kick because it's more like you stop in midair and project a force using your kick out, and then that stuns enemies in the 3DS version.
Yeah, I think you can do that on the Wii U, but they've never seen a point where it really works or there's any reason to.
Well, I mean, I think. I don't know what the actual effect of it is, but it's like you do it on the stupid like snake enemy things, because if you target the wrong part of those, you get injured by it.
Okay.
So I think if you stun them, it makes it automatically not target the wrong bit or something. I don't know. It seems like that was what it was meant to do.
Do you mean the snakey, the crawlers like from?
Yeah.
Was it the
ball-shaped crawling things?
Okay, yeah.
Whatever the fuck those are.
Not the ones that we saw where it's like
not
big
the jumping
snakes and they come out of the ground.
No.
Oh, no, not those snakes.
No,
yeah,
not those either.
Not the insta-kill snakes.
But yeah,
that level is fucking annoying, by the way. Yeah. The first level of Desert Ruins is a pain in the arse. Because when it goes to 2D, I know the mechanics seem to work less well. the game still does have 2D sections, but like the one in Desert Ruins in particular seems to want you to wall run a lot and wall jump, and then it has a bit where you're supposed to it encourages you to try and grab the ceiling and move across it, except you can't grab the ceiling while there's one of those spider enemies hanging from it, so you have to somehow kill the spider enemy before it lets you grab the ceiling. And you have to push push a button as well to grab the ceiling, so you don't just grab it automatically.
Right.
That whole level just doesn't work very well.
Well, the trouble is that they have this wall run thing, and it has the traditional problem of a lot of wall runs in games where you do it accidentally all the time, and it just breaks your momentum.
The biggest problem with the wall run in 2D mode is if you approach a ledge, because Sonic's new free running stuff starts coming into play, he will automatically reach for the ledge and try and pull himself up.
Yeah.
But while he's doing that, you can't wall jump.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to wall jump off that platform, but you get too close to a ledge, it breaks the whole thing, and you either get up onto the platform, which may be covered in spikes, or you fall all the way down because you can't then get back into wall run mode.
Yeah. And
it's like, that's kind of shit. They just haven't quite thought through how the mechanics gel together, which is a real shame. Because, how can you fuck up 2D Sonic? I mean, come on.
Well, you can fuck it up by introducing new mechanics, basically.
Yeah. Or, just make it boring like Sonic 4.
Well, no, they still fucked it up by adding new mechanics.
They still slightly fucked it up.
Okay.
So
what?
Yeah, there are places where it's a bit of a mess, but then you get in the possibly the best level in the game so far is the one where they go, you're in it's a desert ruins, right? We'll add another S to that, so it's the desert ruins, and you have a candy themed level,
right?
And that level's awesome because it plays more like traditional. It's entirely 2D and plays more like a normal Sonic level. And it's that's great. I want more of that.
More of this, please. Okay.
And the music changes, so it's all sort of the music on that level's pretty great. Let's put it that way. It's just not quite as great as Candy Mountain.
No, of course not.
But from Colors, not enough trumpet. But when the game has its high points, it's pretty high. Another one of the good levels, which is also in the Desert Ruins, is the one that I think Sega were showing off as the alternative style of level. Right? So they show the first level of the game, Windy Valley 1, but then they were also showing Desert Ruins 3, which is this. It's a runner level, basically, but you can't stop. And that plays really well as again. That's a really fun, really good level, which annoyingly ends in a boss fight, which always sucks. It's so they sort of ruined it. But if you take it just for the level part, it's a pretty great level. So it ends up being this weird mismatch of not very well tutorialized new mechanics that don't really work very well, with the odd stroke of, this is a really fun level. And this is why I like Sonic. Those moments are still there, but as a package, it's all over the place.
So it's not a complete fail then, it's just a really spotty...
It's just a lot of strange decisions. I mean, the one thing I have to say is universally good is the look. I really like the look. It's
okay.
They've sort of Mario Galaxied it, I guess, in sort of keep it simplifying, I suppose, how the textures, things, and the color palette and everything. So it's very base colors. Like the first level, for instance, is everything's blue and green, but very sort of smooth looking, very sharp looking, and it running at 60 frames per second is always nice. Pretty faultlessly 60 frames per second at that, except during loading. Yeah. There's a little loading jiggle when the card appears, which is annoying to me.
And then they're going to throw all that style out for their next game.
Yeah, probably. Well, yeah. Sonic Boom, which for all cases isn't really a Sonic game, as far as people are saying. But
yeah, it doesn't sound like it. I hope they'll... I mean, this is like a side thing, right? Isn't it, I guess, Sonic Boom? It's not like the future of Sonic.
No. Sonic Boom is coming across as a very simplistic puzzle platformer.
Right, yeah.
Rather than a Sonic game, which is, I don't know, kind of quashes my excitement a little. You know what it's beginning to look like? It's beginning to look and sound like it's a Ratchet and Clank game.
That's what I said all along.
Yeah, God damn it.
What a surprise. Okay,
without
so that's
guns.
Sonic. We'll look forward to Sonic.
Yeah.
Well, whatever they come up with next that isn't Sonic.
Obviously, well, yeah, we don't know really what Sonic team we're on now, but if anything. Obviously, I'm going to play through. I'll keep playing it, and there's the DLC stuff to tackle at some point.
Yeah, the dumb Nintendo themed DLC.
Yeah, which I think you can only get access to once you finish the game or something. Because I can see no way of getting to it right now.
Not that there's very many menus even in that game either.
The game just doesn't explain itself at any point.
No.
Like the only sort of help tips you get are in the middle of the level. If you get like a little help icon will appear on screen.
That's the worst.
And then you have to push the screen to activate it, and it'll give you the instructions on the screen. Oh, then the fucking wisps. The wisps are awful in that game, like the way they control, because they force you to do something on the touch screen.
Yeah.
Except for the drill level. The drill level is cool.
Okay. As long as drill is still cool.
The drill is still cool.
But laser used to be cool.
Laser used to be cool, but now they've made it awkward because you have to aim it on the pad, and then the way they want you to control it is then once you've aimed your shot, is you hold Sonic with your finger and then flick him in, like just do a flicking action to send him off. But then, of course, the game tries to ease you into the transition so the game pauses whenever you activate a wisp.
As it makes sense
to make you move from the controls to the touch
screen. Almost did in colours, apart from it was like you were just waiting for the activation.
Yeah, it was a pause to sort of like
with laser or whatever you were doing that.
Laser! It would dramatise the moment a little as well, if nothing else. Like a rocket, it would be rockets, like pause, then you fly.
Yeah. Whereas in this, it's actually an annoying transition.
It stops completely. Then you have to move to the touchscreen, do the action. The action then takes place, and then at the end of the action, you get a prompt on screen saying "press A." So you move yourself back to the controls to activate it, and it's just Sonic is all about the flow
completely. Yeah,
and this is nothing about the flow. it's not. It's what kind you want. Of stupid, and about bloody asteroid. Wisp, whatever the shit that is just the weirdest fucking thing.
No, you haven't worked out how to control it, basically. It doesn't tell you enough, again.
Well, it doesn't make sense, because I think that instruction is wrong. Because the instruction says tilt the gamepad in the direction you want to travel. But I'm pretty sure you can just press the stick in the direction you want to travel, and then there's some weird way of making it jump if it touches the floor, and then the idea of those is to collect enough debris and deposit it into some hole somewhere that then transports you to this other place where you can probably get a red star coin. It's fucked up, basically. It's really weird. It's just super annoying that they seem to be on a bit of a roll with Sonic for a while, and then sort of gave it back to the people that don't know what they're doing again. Don't know.
Do you think that's what happened? Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, Sonic Generations was done with such an obvious understanding on what makes the Sonic games good.
And Sonic Generations was made for DLC, but then they didn't.
Yeah.
But they could have doubled the size of the game by now with
oh yeah,
more
easily. I would have been happy if they'd have just released a Generations 2.
Yeah.
Without introducing any new mechanics, I would have been happy. So I guess that's why like the mod projects, like Unleashed project and stuff, exist, where people are sort of at least pulling more content into it. But and there seems to be some success with that stuff. And Sonic Colors was a great joke, and presumably this is because this shares so much tone with Colors. Like maybe this is the same team that made Sonic Colors, or at least has somewhat of a sharing thing. And it's like, I don't know, you were getting it right then. What happened?
Yeah, it would make sense to be a same team, because if it's a Nintendo platform exclusive like Colors was.
Yeah. As I say, in the tone of the game, the way it's presented sort of feels like Colors. Actually sort of feels like Unleashed as well. I wonder if they're all the same guys, those three. But, Unleashed wasn't great because of the werehog. But yeah, so I guess you win some, you lose some with Sonic, but you never know. It might get better. It might.
Well, it's probably up and down, isn't it? Like, there was obviously a good period, and now we're in a kind of a fallow period. Maybe there'll be another good period coming up. They've got to make
this game might get better if we're lucky. Right? But
yeah, maybe.
I'm not all the way through it, but it might. But not so sure.
Well, you have to report back.
Yeah. I'm fulfilling my duty as the Sonic gamer, though. So
Yep.
So any sort of you say you've been playing the 3DS version, Zach?
Well, I haven't actually been playing the 3DS version.
Have you not?
No, that was just that demo.
Okay. Level. Fair enough. For a second there, I thought you actually had it.
No.
We're at the risk of running too much longer. I can't really think of what else I've been doing other than played a bit more Mario Kart. That game is quite a bit more fun when you start doing the 150cc stuff, and it becomes the races become a lot closer. Yeah,
right. That's cool. Okay. Yeah,
we played some multiplayer of that, and that was okay.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I remember.
Even Dan was there.
Yeah, I was like, no, we haven't, not since before the last podcast. But then when there was that one time when Dan was there,
yeah.
So really, not very much.
Yeah,
but we have,
and it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was cool.
Worked pretty well. Just so obvious that game is made for multiplayer. Really, it's just such a shame about its battle mode, which is the shits.
Well, maybe at least that'll, next time they'll have battle mode sorted. That's for sure, given the amount of outcry.
Yeah, given that Nintendo seemed like, at least, to be making a good attempt at listening to people now.
Yeah, that's true.
Or at least outwardly appearing that they do. Amiibo.
That's what you need.
Amiibo. Oh man!
I can't wait to see Amiibos all over your house. I wouldn't be surprised with Smash Brothers and everything.
Would you? But the Smash Brothers has probably the worst implementation of that stuff.
No, that's
from
true.
what we know of it, all it is for leveling up AI characters or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
It makes me talk like this.
Well, what's the best implementation of that stuff?
Well, we don't really know, is the thing.
No.
We don't really know what. Well, apparently it's going into Mario Kart, and we don't know how.
Yeah, but that's got to be a kind of an afterthought. It can't be like a core thing.
Well, also, I guess the problem is like, what's the storage ability of these things? If these things are going to be like storing states for different games on them, how many can you store on one amiibo? I mean, there's an interesting question. Like, if it has like your Mario Kart state or your Smash Brothers state,
stored on the
yeah.
Because I guess
they specifically said there's a transfer between like that the storage does happen on the thing.
Right. So you can take it to another.
You carry your amiibo.
Right. It's not just a code that makes it go and look something up on the internet.
Well, I guess maybe. What they should really do is have a bespoke figure making service where you can get your Mii made as an amiibo.
Trouble is that wouldn't work because everyone makes ridiculous Miis where like the eyebrows stick miles off the head and stuff. So they wouldn't actually be able to create most of the Miis that people make.
I guess there would have to be some limitations, or like they'd have to like you'd send it to them and they'd be like, no, we can't do this.
Someone would analyze it and be like, no.
Yeah.
Screw you.
We can't do this. You have eyes floating either side of your face.
Yeah.
Right, is that your any other games you've been playing, Rob? Or
No, as I said, like just focusing on the console stuff mainly. I suppose there is one more thing that we could talk about. Kippers and I tried playing the FIFA World Cup mode.
Oh yeah, okay. Since it's World Cup time.
Yeah. Screw you, England. So yeah, the World Cup mode they sort of done more to it than I sort of thought they would. Given that they're not releasing a World Cup game this time.
Yeah, they're not doing a game. So have they added quite a bit then? They've put more effort into it than I expected. It's like, so basically it's an extension of the Ultimate Team mode is the main draw. So when you start that up, you get drawn a set of random cards, but all of those cards are World Cup players. And you form the best team you can out of them. And then after every match you play, you gain another card with which to mess around with. See if you can improve the chemistry of your team. But then you take that team into a World Cup style
match. And I think the way that works is like in single player, at least, you're playing against the actual World Cup team. Soon you're playing against USA. You're playing against a USA squad,
right?
And then there's your crazy team. So
that
the one
made
thing
up
that's
of players from all over, probably.
Yeah, which then leads to the obvious failing of this mode, and that there is no way to just play a World Cup tournament with the team as it stands. Like, you can't just say, I want to be England and play a single-player version of the World Cup tournament like that. And it's like, surely that's the easiest thing you could have done, and it's not there.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty dumb. You can do, like, single matches with the international teams. And you can also do... There is an online... Obviously, the Ultimate Team online stuff's there in the same way, pretty much. But they also have this, like... What's fairly unique is that, and it's probably where most of the effort went, is there's this sort of challenge mode that, like, within about an hour, I think, of a World Cup game ending, they've created a scenario around that game. So it's like, 20 minutes into the game, say, England were 1-0 down. Can you turn it around? That kind of thing.
Okay. So, like, okay. So does it add scenarios from the real World Cup? Or
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
As I say, about an hour after the match is finished, this thing goes.
Right.
These things go live for you to play out yourself. And as I say, they'll just pick the teams that were involved, pick what the score was at a certain time, and say, you're the underdog, go beat it. Yeah.
Right. That's cool. Okay.
That's pretty neat.
So you've done a few of those?
No. Gibbs and I were focusing on trying to do the Ultimate Team stuff, but we just saw it was happening, and it's like, that's cool.
Okay.
That's cool. Well, we suck too much to probably try and come back from behind.
To actually come back. Yeah, well, so does England, that's for sure.
So we didn't actually manage to get past the group stages when Kips and I were playing it. So, yeah, we sucked real bad. I think we scored like 1 goal all night and we were playing it. And we tried twice. We played like 6 matches and scored like 1 goal. We're terrible.
Terribly.
But it is quite nice because they've updated their commentary, so it's got like World Cup specific stuff that they're talking about, and they've also updated obviously the player rosters have all updated, and they've even reskinned like the on-screen displays and stuff, so they're kind of all a bit Brazilian flavored.
Right.
How do you Brazilian flavor them?
You make it just green and yellow.
Yeah, pretty much.
And a bit more rounded at the edges, it seems. So, they probably did more than I think anyone was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
But, where's the fucking World Cup mode? I just want to... It's like, the obvious thing is missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they'll add it now.
No chance.
Yeah. Okay.
So there you go. That'll probably cover me. Unless we've done something that I forgot about.
No, I don't think so.
Zach, what have you been playing?
Well, surprisingly, for 4 weeks, I can't even. Well, no, not. I was going to say surprisingly 4 weeks, not much, but the actual answer is unsurprisingly for 4 weeks, I can't fucking remember.
Yeah. Okay. You can't remember what you've been playing. Okay.
No, but the things that I do remember. Well, the first thing is I did one of the endings of Bravely Default.
Oh, really?
I did the bad ending, or what was supposedly the bad ending, anyway.
Well, what's the technique you needed to get this one to happen?
The bad ending is where you deliberately break one of the crystals.
Oh, okay. You overpray.
Yeah, you overpray and it explodes. And then basically what that does is sort of skip to the end, except not the full end. You basically go to what is the last dungeon. In either ending you're going to do this. You go to the last dungeon, you go through it, you get to the last boss fight. Only in the bad ending you only do like the first 2 stages, whereas in the full ending there's like 3 more.
Oh wow.
So basically the bad ending is like you defeat the fairy who is basically a minion, and so you prevent the fairy's plan from happening by breaking the crystal and then defeating her. Whereas in the full ending, it's like you defeat the fairy and then the actual boss comes.
Yeah, I see.
rather than just delaying the plan, you actually succeed in defeating the ultimate evil or whatever.
In a weird way, the bad ending is actually the better way of the heroes getting out of the situation because you're foiling the plot earlier.
No, well, sort of, except
But
for
you're
like
not killing the bad guy.
Well, it's like it's like you're foiling the plot, but in theory, that same plot could just happen again at some point in the future.
Yeah. You're not preventing history.
You're just saving the world for now,
rather
than actually saving the world forever. I guess is what that says. But so for a bad ending, it's not actually really that bad, and it doesn't seem like everyone's still quite happy about it.
Well, I guess they don't know, do they?
Well, the evil minion monster at the end is like in its death throes and being like, "Oh, you've only delayed the inevitable. My master will come eventually, or whatever."
Or presumably there are other minions.
Well, yeah, presumably. Yeah. But then your team is just like, "Well, I guess we're done. Bye. We're gonna go back to living our normal lives.
That's enough of this shit."
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, I did that. I haven't done. But then the thing about it is that if you do the bad ending and you save after the end. And it's like save your cleared file or whatever.
Should we have said spoilers at this point?
Well, we've already talked about the ending. I've already spoiled it by knowing what was going to happen all along for like the last several times I've talked about this game.
I guess.
But so you save the file after you finished it, and it says like save a complete file. Except it's not because it's the bad ending. It doesn't count as actual completion, so it doesn't unlock like the new game plus or the.
Oh right.
There's like a hidden dungeon or something, I think. So that doesn't unlock if you do the bad ending. So when you reload that save, it just puts you back before you broke the crystal.
Oh right, so it knows the point at which you if you at the crystal you broke.
Yeah, at the crystal you broke. So it just puts you back, and then you can go on. So I guess I might not need to make another save file for like separating the bad ending and the good ending because you can just do the bad ending and then go and do the good ending as well.
Yeah, I guess the problem with that is like. If it puts you back there, and it's like, oh, maybe this is the beginning of the end sequence and all that stupid world travelling I was doing before, I probably should have just broken one earlier. Like, I don't know. Maybe it thought like what you were doing in the looping phase was just like...
It does sort of say that like there's another ending. Like, if you don't break the crystals. It doesn't actually sort of tell you. But as I said before, it's like, I wouldn't have known to break the crystals unless I fucking read it.
Yeah. So have you done the proper ending?
No.
Okay.
So I haven't got to do that yet. I think I'm at the... No, actually, what I actually also did was I loaded up the other save that I was going to do the completionist run on and did another one of the final combo boss fights.
Right.
So now I've done all the individual combo boss fights, and now the only one that's left is the where you do them all again, basically. And then do them all again for a third time.
Right.
In one run, apparently. Although that one is like... Well, I've still got to do... Basically, I'm at the point where you go through like this tower and you're doing... Actually, is actually a remix again. So you're fighting all the bosses again, but in slightly different groups again, going up this tower in like individual fights. But then supposedly if you do all of that, you can... the super optional one is you can just trigger like a fight where you fight everything in a row. And I don't know how that's going to play out.
Holy cow.
Because that just sounds pretty impossible.
Yeah.
Because you do need to change your tactics sometimes.
I was about to say, presumably you spec up for a certain style.
Yeah.
Unless there is like, well, can you spec for one style and hope to get through the lot?
I think I said before, like it depends on how it transitions. It's like if you kill one enemy and then another one comes in to replace it in the middle of the fight or something.
Yeah. Or is it just one by one, but can you last all that time?
Yeah, where if it's just like in groups of 3 and then when you've defeated them all, the next 3 just arrive, but it doesn't break, so it doesn't put you back out to, so you could go to a menu or whatever.
Yeah.
That would be the difference.
That would be tricky.
I'm not sure which would be more difficult. Probably if they do replace one at a time, that would probably be easier. Because then you could just leave, like...
something.
Leave which ones you think are easy.
Yeah.
And then work on the extra one.
Surely that becomes a problem with like the boss you described where he's like counter heavy and...
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like certain ones of those bosses are actually easy to... They just have really easy patterns that you can safely just know what they're going to do and just leave them alone. So yeah, I haven't done that yet. Maybe, eventually. And then...
But that's all optional stuff, not proper ending stuff?
Well, all of these other bosses that I've been doing are optional. It's like all you actually need to do to get to the good ending is just light all the crystals in those extra 4 worlds and then just go to the end. You don't technically have to do anything.
You don't have to go fight it, go back, do what you're doing, and revisit all these things.
No.
But that's kind of weird, isn't it? Because if you weren't doing those, then you'd have a real...
super boring.
Yeah.
Just do those same 4 main bosses 4 times.
Oh, man.
And those bosses are like super easy because those don't upgrade or get, because with the optional bosses, they're coming in larger groups and different groups, so that actually makes it more difficult. Whereas the actual bosses of the 4 crystals are totally the same every time, and they're incredibly easy.
Yeah.
Because once you've done them once, you're basically just super overpowered at that point.
I guess it becomes like part of the normal grind.
Yeah,
but
pretty much.
It's a bit weird.
So yeah, I haven't done that. I'm not done with that yet. Still got more to do. And then I played some amount of Eve and Guild Wars, sort of on and off, because in both cases it's sort of like in preparation for the next thing. Because in Guild Wars it's like they've had their month-long break of not doing Living World because they're going to start Living World Season 2 at the start of July. So they've been having a break there where they haven't really been doing any updates, and they've just left it with a previous update, basically. But it's a kind of a nice one where it's just like they made it so that the rewards you get from this non-update update are basically the rewards from all the previous Season 1 stuff. So it's like if you missed anything, you can just get the things that you might have missed, like the extra miniatures or other rewards like skins and stuff that you didn't get the first time through. So I ground that out and got a few of those, which is quite nice.
Ground it out.
And also, maybe more importantly sort of for both of us, but mainly for me, is just like there's a vendor where you can trade in excess resources.
Oh, right.
And you just get rewards, and I was like, holy shit, this like five or 6 stacks of mithril I've just had sitting around forever, get rid of all of that!
See, I've just been selling it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I took half of the resources out of the guild bank, so you do have some you can trade in if you just want to see if you can get some rewards. I didn't steal all of it, because I assumed that some of what was in the guild bank might have been yours, even though probably not really.
Not really, no. I think I might have put some wood in there at some point.
Yeah, possibly. So you can theoretically still log in and do that at some point, maybe.
Maybe.
If you want to.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then I'll empty it out.
Depends if it's good. Well, I don't know. I can't remember what was the resources that I had trouble with during any of my
you
crafting
had problems
trees.
with the jewelry stuff, so it was like gold and
gold isn't easy to come across.
Yeah, it's because
it's that mid tier.
Yeah, it's in zones that you don't spend very long in. Or at least we didn't spend very long in. I guess we could have spent longer in those zones. It was just we were behind the story at that point.
Yeah, we were going through story stuff rather than
exploring.
Maxing out the zones.
Yeah.
Perhaps I need to just go back to them and start doing that.
Oh, we should finish the bloody story.
Yeah.
We're pretty close. We've only got Ore to do.
Ore just seems quite boring.
We haven't even got into the main part of Ore yet, really.
Oh, what?
We've been on the beaches of Ore.
Oh. Brown Town?
Yep, it gets browner.
Brown Town.
So, and then in Eve, it's like waiting for the next patch in that, because the next patch in that is going to be like a fairly major overhaul of industry.
What, all the planet stuff? Or?
I don't know about planets. Mostly the other industry, like the standard, mineral-based economy.
Right.
It's actually, it's one of those things where it's that always makes me worry about Eve, where it's just it seems like it could throw everything into hella turmoil. But I mean, most of the times whenever I thought that about an update, it hasn't come to pass. It's just it's been fine.
Everyone just sort of dealt with it.
Yeah, everyone just dealt with it or whatever. And they have this economist who's supposedly meant to, I don't know, maybe prevent them from screwing up the economy by telling them how it could screw up the economy. I guess that's his job, isn't it?
Could they have introduced the spinning fork? Would that have screwed up?
Maybe. But yeah, so what this industry, this overhaul of industry is basically going to make it so recycling modules and stuff isn't 100% efficient any longer.
Huh.
And then also some changes to minerals as well. They're getting rid of, they're making so all the minerals reprocess at the same stack size, because that always sucked. Whereas it was like, this one you need 333, and this one you need 500 of,
Right.
for no particular reason. So then at least that theoretically won't change the output. That will just be a number simplification. And they're also making it so that you can compress ore in some different way than you used to be able to, because ore compression was basically a thing to make it so that when you were mining in zero space or whatever.
Oh, right.
Because minerals are basically fucking gigantic, so hauling minerals was a giant pain in the ass. So they made it so one of the capital industrial ship had an ore compressor where you could mash the ore down into a smaller volume, so you could transport it easier, basically.
Cool.
And I think they're altering that to be able to do that. Oh no, they're adding it so that they're making it so that there's a Starbase module that will do it. So you don't have to have this specific ship any longer. You can do it at a base.
Oh, right, you just bring it, but you still have to haul it.
Yeah, you still have to haul it to your Starbase or whatever. But then that should also make it easier for smaller corporations out in wormhole space as well, presumably.
Right.
But actually, I don't know if there are asteroid belts in wormhole space. I don't remember. But anyway, so yeah, you'll be able to compress ore at any Starbase. And presumably that, I can't remember whether that does extend into high-sec Starbases as well. Because you can't, certain Starbase modules you can't anchor in high-sec. Obviously, the capital ship construction yards or whatever. Because you can't have capital ships in high-sec.
Sure.
But I can't remember whether they said the ore compression array would be anchorable in high-sec. So if that is, that'll actually... Because then you'll be able to mine in high-sec, bring it to your high-sec base, compress it, and then haul it out into null-sec or around in high-sec easier.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That changes how easy minerals is to transport. But yeah, so the one thing that I'm more worried about is the recycling aspect. Because I have perfect recycling. It's everything I refine, I get 100% of everything. Not just, and also because I have super high standings with the corporations that I have bases in, I get 100% of that as well, because normally the corporation takes a little bit of tax, but I'm no, fuck you guys, 100%.
When you say the cores, is this NPC cores?
NPC cores that run the station.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're making it so that you can't recycle everything 100% any longer. And I was like, oh shit. Not that I actually recycle that much stuff, I guess. And then the other thing they're also changing is the way researching blueprints works, because that is a giant mess of a system as it stands.
I never really understood that in the beginning either.
Well, it hasn't really changed, I don't think.
That always seemed a bit mental.
Well, it's the blueprints basically, as the default blueprints you buy, have a 10% wastage factor. So it's they use 10% more minerals than a theoretically perfect blueprint does. So then you can research the mineral efficiency up to get rid of some of that waste.
Right.
But then the trouble with that system was that the amount you had to research was a vague number. It wasn't really tied, because it's it starts at 10% and then you start researching it and it's because it's a percentage of the actual number of minerals that the blueprint uses. Depending on how large those numbers are, it can be more or less difficult to get to perfect. So for example, this missile blueprint I make, it uses a bunch of stuff, but so it uses the basic mineral like titanium. It uses a ton of that, and then it uses a small amount of rocket fuel. So if you research the mineral efficiency up a little bit, you can get to perfect rocket fuel efficiency because it's a small number.
Right.
So once you get down to 1%, it's not 1% of 90 or whatever. It rounds it off.
Right.
But if you wanted to get to perfect on the titanium, you'd have to research the mineral efficiency tons, because it's getting rid of a tiny bit.
There's much more of it. Yeah.
So yeah, that system was a big fat pain in the ass, but they're basically getting rid of that now and just making it so that there's 10 steps of mineral efficiency, and you just research one step and it gets 1% better or whatever. And it just gets rid of the
1% better across all things.
Yeah, it just gets rid of the long tail off of working towards a perfect blueprint.
So presumably there might still be a rounding error on some things, like you said,
maybe
with the rocket fuel. Or...
I guess I don't actually know the exact numbers yet, but so with this new way of researching blueprints, all the old blueprints are getting converted. So if you already have an effectively perfect blueprint, it will just become a perfect blueprint.
Right, yeah.
And then the other thing they're changing related to that is they're making it so that the main problem with research is you could never find anywhere to do it. Because, in the NPC stations, every research bay is queued up for, a month in advance because there's never enough research bays.
Sure.
but they're basically getting rid of that now. So it'll basically
There's unlimited bays.
There'll be an unlimited amount of research you can do in a system, but it will be less efficient. But then they've introduced another resource, basically, which is teams, where you can hire specialized teams to make your research better.
Oh, I see.
Except it's like it's a weird auction system where you hire the team into the solar system. So it affects everyone in that system. So basically, the entire solar system pools money into this auction. So if you are in a hub system or whatever, you can probably quite easily win the auction by just everyone donating a little bit.
So does this only really benefit people in high sec?
I don't know how it works in the low sec, how it pulls the teams into the Starbase research bays and stuff. I'm not sure how that's going to turn out. I mean, presumably the low sec coalitions and whatever naturally have more money to spend, I guess.
It might create an interesting interesting where perhaps one of the big cores just spends so much money on getting all the teams to come to their
monopolize
come to their star bases.
But presumably, I mean, in an EVE economy style, that is presumably just a giant ISK sink.
Yeah,
because it's you're not actually getting anything
gain
really
that much from it. Yeah,
you're getting theoretical gain at some point in the future. So yeah,
I don't know. Someone will probably figure some benefit to it, maybe.
Yeah, well, that's all going to be weird. So yeah, that's what I've been worried about. So what I've been doing in EVE is basically I had basically all the loot that I got from missions. I was just saying fuck it and chucking it in a can and just be here's my giant pile of loot that I need to sort through one day. And now it's I might not have perfect refine any longer. I'm this is probably the time to sort through all that loot and refine what of it that doesn't sell. Basically, whereas if I can sell it on the market for a profit versus its mineral amount,
sure, yeah,
then I might as well do that. But if not, I might as well reprocess it while I've still got 100%.
Yeah.
Although probably the mineral prices will all change when this actual industry patch hits.
Yeah, probably.
Presumably, as everyone suddenly reacts to that. So yeah, that's EVE.
Interesting.
It's still going on in the same way it does.
Are people reacting to it before it's even patched in?
Well, there's always some
news.
amount of market speculation of people buying ships and modules. The last patch was they did another rebalance to the mining barges, and all those prices got immediately fucked up. Where it's look at this giant curve on the graph, where it's everyone was speculating that this was the new hot ship because they still haven't managed to. They've been going through all the ships in the game, trying to rebalance them so that there's not a straight linear progression. So it's because it used to be you'd get the cheap cruiser, and then you get a slightly better cruiser, and then you get a slightly better cruiser, then you go to battleships, the cheap battleship, then you go up to the medium battleship. But now, so they basically tried to get rid of that and make it so that all cruisers are equally an option rather than a progression. So you can just fly whichever one you want to do.
So the jump to battleship is harder?
Well, no, I think probably on average, all the cruisers are better because it's there's not just one option any longer. It depends on what you're doing, I suppose, as well.
Okay, right.
So they kind of tried to get rid of
the cheap cruisers then, or
sort of cheaper. It's mainly based on the mineral cost, still, of course, rather than the popularity of the ship. But so they've been trying to they call it tiericide. Where they've been trying to get rid of the tiers of ships, which is dumb. But so they've been doing that, but then when they got to the mining barges, they were we don't like that everyone's only flying the biggest one that has the most lasers. It's duh. It's kind of the point of a mining ship. So they tried to fix it by making the barges have specialized different bays. The big one has the most lasers but less ore bay, and then the middle one has technically fewer lasers, but they get a percentage bonus to output that makes them the equivalent of the same number of lasers, which is really dumb because it's you fucked up by modeling it wrong.
Right. Because
it's this model has 3 lasers, so obviously it has 3 lasers. This model has 2 lasers, but we want it to have the same output of 3 lasers, so you just get 100% bonus.
Weird.
But then, so the big one has slightly higher output but less storage. The middle one has slightly less output but more storage. And then the smallest one is it just has a good tank, so it's good for low sec mining or whatever. But then, of course, everyone's still flying the one with the most storage because it makes it.
The efficiency of travel is.
Yeah, mining in Eve is all about AFK, so you want the one where you can just turn lasers on and just sit there for 15 minutes.
So everyone swapped from the big one to the middle one.
To the medium one, yeah. So the market price of the medium one shot up, of course.
No one wants the big one anymore.
So it's like you can't
it just fills up really fast.
Yeah, it's like you can't solve the mining problem by trying to make these kind of changes. That's not going to solve it. Everyone always goes for the one that's the most AFK.
Yeah, least effort.
Yeah.
Least effort mining, not most efficient mining.
No,
because I suppose presumably if a pro operation they have
they have haulers. Yeah. Then you use the most efficient one because then you're offloading it into another ship.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. And then there was one more thing. Oh yeah, of course. The one thing that I spent tons of time on is I bought it in the Steam sale. I went and purchased that game called Banished.
Oh yeah, I saw you playing that earlier. Well, I saw
for
your notification.
Yeah, it's just like
what is it?
It's just like a Settlers-esque, not really Settlers because it's not point-to-point based like Settlers, but you're building a little town and you collect resources and then you build your town.
Oh yeah.
You seem to have a penchant for these games.
Yeah, as you would expect. It's exactly the kind of thing that I like, where I can fucking spend forever doing it.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that's still interesting to me. Although it's still, I think I'm not sure. I don't think it's still classed as early access. But I think the guy who's making it, because it's only one guy, I think he's still working on it at the moment.
Right.
So it has still had a recent patch. But although I don't know if he's going to add that much more to it, because the trouble with it is that it's the sort of similar problem of that other game that I was talking about the other week that I've forgotten. Space Engineers. It's the sort of similar problem as Space Engineers where it's kind of too simple still at the moment, where it's just like you're making your town and you need food for your population, but it's just like generic food. So like you can make a farm that grows wheat, or you can have a fishery that gets fish, or you can have a hunter-gatherer type person who collects like deers and berries and stuff.
But it's food.
But it doesn't matter because it's just food
in the Civ sense of food.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
The only effect of different types of food is if your population doesn't have enough different options, they get slightly ill because they don't have a good diet. They don't have a good varied diet.
But there's no real indication of what you need to rectify that?
Well, no, it's just like you just need more types.
Mm.
So it's just like, because it's just generic food, there's no like reason to, there's no like difficulty to that, I guess. It's just like you just need more food. Doesn't matter what kind, just throw some food in there. So it's not like you could, because you can have all these different crops where it's like wheat or other things, pumpkins or whatever, but there's no, they all just function exactly the same. There's no like there's basically no tertiary items, is what I'm saying.
Mm.
It's like you have the primary crops, and then they just get eaten, and then you have like iron, and then that maybe has one step where you can turn it into tools, or well, you have to turn it into tools because really that's only the only purpose for iron. So it's really there's only like one step manufacturing. Whereas if you go to think about like a Settlers game or whatever, the whole point of a Settlers game is the whole like
refine it into something else.
The tree.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a fine game at the moment as it is, but it's just like it could do with some more complexity. But I'm not sure that's what the guy wants to make it.
Because I noticed that because there's a couple of updates here that have been worded as you have done something. So is it like one guy?
Yeah, apparently it's one guy.
Huh. It's not that reasonably impressive for one guy.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice, like it's a good engine, I guess, that he's built.
It looks town-like.
Yeah, it works pretty well. So yeah, I played quite a lot of that. The thing that saves it from being completely like...
It's not early access, by the way.
No.
It's not marked as early access.
The thing that saves it from losing my interest too quickly is that it has a decent set of achievements where it's just like basically sort of challenges.
Oh, that are actually challenging.
Yeah, where it's just like build a town where you don't use any crop farms, you only collect from the wild as your main food stuff and get to 400 population, or like don't build schools for 300 people because not building schools makes your workforce like 50% less efficient or whatever, so you have to build a different kind of town, or build in a mountainous map with a harsh climate and survive with 50 people. So that sort of stuff. That's what's keeping my interest, just getting those achievements.
That's kind of cool. I definitely think there is, well, we've been saying this for years, actually, haven't we? There is still a weird gap for a good Settlers-esque game.
Well, they're making a new Settlers game, apparently.
Yeah, but have any of them been good?
No.
No.
Since 3, it's just been terrible.
Yeah.
And even 3 was a bit
I don't like that. I didn't like their graphical
Yeah, the art style was weird in 3. But
They took a weird direction.
Well, the main problem, I don't know if it was really a problem. It was, I'll call it a problem. The main problem with 3 was that, once they unlinked once they made armies actual units that you could select and move around, that kind of sucked. Because I guess because they didn't know how to do it. It's like Settlers isn't an RTS game.
No.
So it was a bad RTS game when they tried to implement RTS elements.
Let's see, yeah. But yeah, combat in that game was always they tried to make it more of a, I don't know, it's just a mechanic rather than a having to work out the details of the fight wasn't exactly your role, was it?
Yeah. Because it's even once you got the 3 with the actual standing armies, it was just that you just build more than the other guy. The traditional tactic.
Hey guys, it's 6:00.
Yes, it's Steam sale time. What's new? Nothing.
Wolfenstein.
That's a big pile of crap, that is. Unless you want Goat Simulator.
Even then, that's not that great a deal.
No, not cheap enough. Oh shit! That was the other thing we didn't talk about in news related to the Steam sale.
What?
The Summer Adventure.
Yes,
they've totally actually self-aware taken the piss of it.
That's pretty great.
On this new update. He's flipping the table. So yeah, the Steam Summer Adventure has a dumb meta game where you craft the badge and you get points for your team, your randomly assigned team. And basically a big coalition of Reddit and various other sites were like, that's completely unfair, because then one team will just walk it every day, because they'll just coincidentally be the team who has the most people or the most money.
Yeah.
So they formed a coalition to assign a day to each team and basically make sure that team wins on that day.
Well, the reason why that was possible is they found a glitch that made, or some way of making sure you could change your team.
You can change team. There's an item you can use to do it that you can just buy off the market.
I thought I read somewhere that there's a way of glitching it without needing the item.
Oh, maybe. But so yeah, they did that, and that worked for 6 days. Each team won once. It was totally perfectly fine.
Yeah, I always looked at it and it's like, oh man, they're running away with it.
You could sort of tell because it was one team was miles ahead and all the other teams had exactly the same score.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because the team that was ahead was stealing the points evenly from all the other teams to even out the other ones, so they could never catch up. That was basically how that was going down. But then Valve got wind of that, I guess, and made it so that instead of there only being the one team that wins getting the prize, there's a second and third place, basically. And at that point, the coalition kind of gave up and said, I guess it's slightly more fair now.
Yeah. More
people will have a chance to win. And then Red Team proceeded to win 3 days in a row. What a surprise.
Yeah. As I say, now the picture just seems to show pink guy flipping the table as if to say, fuck this shit.
Pretty much. I think it was a dumb system anyway, because it was it's like Valve created a thing that was inherently unfair. The community came along and tried to make it fair, and then Valve were like, no, fuck you, we want it to be unfair.
Yeah. It's a bit weird. Perhaps they could have solved the problem by having everyone randomly assigned every day.
Yeah, just not make it so you can switch team.
Yeah. Surely that would have been the most obvious solution.
Yeah. There you go. That's the Steam sale. Only 2 more days.
Yeah. Although, pinball news.
Suddenly, pinball news.
We haven't had this for a while. There is a very, very slight discount, 25%, on Pinball Arcade DLC.
Gasp.
So it's the first time this has happened. I may have to get one.
Okay.
But I was kind of waiting to see if it would end up as a slightly better deal, but I doubt it's got the prominence to be made a main deal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. especially as it would be DLC.
And it definitely hasn't come up as an option in one of the.
And speaking of
Broken Ages,
I guess. Speaking of things that have been bought on the sale that we're potentially going to be talking about in the future, I guess. I picked up Witcher 2 when it was cheap.
Oh, right. Okay.
I was like, well, fuck it, I guess.
If
I'm going to go for Witcher 3, may as well go back to Witcher 2. Supposedly it's quite good.
Yeah, Witcher 2 is supposed to be
Not going to go back to Witcher 1, though.
Witcher 1 sounds more hardcore than any of them so far.
And then I also, maybe video content for the future, I also got Nidhogg when that was cheap as well.
Oh, cool.
So we can totally play that and
awesome.
probably record it.
I'm well up for that. I have now made a proper 1080 version of the FTL video, so even though I've been saying even though I think I've been talking about it for the last month, it's like it will actually happen shortly.
Yep.
Once my computer stopped overheating in the humid weather.
Yep. Once your computer stopped being a piece of crap.
And dying. Yeah. Man, this is all the wrong time, really. I was kind of hoping I could not have to spend money until after the wedding next year. And then it's like, I did actually weigh up. There was a third option in my head at one point, like while I was weighing this up, where it's just like, can I repurpose ICE to be the media server?
Oh, right.
And just build a whole another computer? And it's like, that's fucking £800 if I spec this out. Shit.
Yeah.
I should be the sensible one and only spend £400. And there's a chip in my windscreen in my car I need to deal with, and some other shit I need to pay money for.
Can you not get the free chip repairs with your whatever?
I mean, I could get it on insurance, but even so, like I still have like a £25 excess, which I suppose isn't much. There's like one night of pizza for us. So yeah, trying to avoid spending money isn't going so well right now.
No, apparently.
No. Difficult. I'm going to get glasses that aren't going to break suddenly.
What, if your one's broken suddenly?
No, they haven't. It's just the girl said, I just got the cheapest ones possible, and she said they're not really meant to like last, so watch out. Because she was trying to upsell me, obviously, on like cross frames.
I don't know how much truth there is in that.
Not right now. Yeah, anyway. So at some point I will get some. But that's annoying.
Those ones don't look so bad anyway.
Oh,
I mean, I didn't mean that to come out so negative. I meant, like, you know, for a cheap pair of glasses. They're pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm the one who needs new glasses at this point because I haven't been to the optician for like forever. Literally,
I really need to fucking sort that out.
I don't think I've been to the optician since before 2000, probably.
Yeah.
And, you know, my eyes are fucked, so I probably should do something about that maybe at some point.
Do you want to know how long it's been since I've had a dentist?
Well, too long. That's worse.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. Even though eyes is, like, more debilitating, maybe, I guess. Well, no, I guess if your teeth go, it's way more debilitating.
Well, no, but you can just get false teeth. It's fine.
Yeah, but then you have the whole process.
Yeah, it's fine.
You have the whole process of getting your teeth unfucked.
I guess.
Expensive and
you can't really have false eyes, though.
No. But your eyes generally don't completely.
You can have false eyes, but you won't be able to see.
That's true. You could have a glass eye or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to go to the
How are we doing for time?
Yeah, it's been like 2003, I think.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the dentist for like 4 or 5 years, and that really fucked me up. And I was like, Jesus,
they're sort of okay, but I think I've got like a bout of gum disease I can't get rid of.
Well, my teeth are just like, I ate too much sugar in my youth.
You really did.
Well, not the recent sugar. That was fine. It was the youth sugar that fucked me up.
But the crate.
Yeah.
The braces crate.
Yeah, the braces crate. That was only one event, so that probably doesn't count.
You know, I don't know whatever happened.
Exposure.
I don't know whatever happened to my braces crate. Because I didn't eat it.
Oh, Jesus.
So I don't know where...
So when you clean out your room somewhere, you're just going to discover the entire block of sugar somewhere.
Maybe. I think it's already been disposed of at some point. But I like to think it's still there somewhere.
So yeah, my teeth are
Nothing was ever said. No one ever told me that they'd found the crate and got rid of it.
My teeth are annoyingly sensitive all the time. And there's nothing I can do about it. I've tried using a specific toothpaste.
Right, none of that. What is it?
It helps a bit, but it doesn't.
Sensodyne.
Yeah, it doesn't actually It's not like the adverts where they're like, "Oh my god, ice cream!"
or the weirdest one, I can fucking bite an ice cube.
Yeah.
Who wants to do that?
Well, some people just eat ice.
Yeah, but like as they're doing it, like cutting through it with their own sizes.
Maybe not that.
That's fucking mad.
Though eating ice is just incredibly bad for your teeth, regardless of how you do it.
Yeah, so it's like eating stone. Surely it's like just blunting it.
So yeah, that's my teeth situation.
Dental updates.
Good
I've got a dentist appointment in like 11 days.
All right then.
Yep.
Round if I can beat you to it.
Oh, you're sorted then.
Probably not.
I'm all good.
How are we doing for time, Rob?
Oh, we've got miles over. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Have we gone over? Okay, well, I think we should wrap it up then because I got to go in a bit.
Yeah.
Fair enough. We better get peace.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, you guys going to get pieced. Okay, cool. Thanks for joining us for the Saladcast. Catch us again for more dental / optical updates.
And maybe a fork update.
Is it? Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely be a talk update.
A talk update.
A noodle tea.
Or is it a spaghetti?
Spaghetti. Yeah.
Indeed. So tune in for that next time. Plus, there might be some talk about computer games, maybe if you're lucky.
Hey, we did quite well eventually.
Yep.
Eventually.
Yeah, we did. Cool. Okay. Bye then, guys.
Boy. So I'm just gonna breathe.
Just make noises.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah. Okay. That's hard.
Okay.
Brad.